Ronnie Renner has lived through almost every era of freestyle motocross. From the early days of the sport to the rise of X Games, to setting world records in step up and becoming one of the most recognizable riders in the world. Ronnie has spent more than 3 decades building a life around motorcycles. But his story is about more than the accomplishments. It's about the fact that he was able to turn a passion into a life through a combination of timing, opportunity, hard work, and a willingness to bet on himself. Ronnie carved out his own path and built a career that most people could only dream about. This is a conversation about passion, freedom, and creating a life on your own terms. This is Ronnie Renner. Now let's dive in. Welcome to Ride Beyond, where we go beyond the ride and into what matters. In this podcast, you'll find meaningful conversations with people who live with passion, chase freedom, and remind us what it means to live fully. The motorcycle is our connection, but the stories are what take us beyond. Wasn't expecting to be flying through the air on a side-by-side before we started this thing. Gets the blood pumping.
It's a little teaser.
Little teaser. Feels big though when you're a passenger. Like, I have no problem jumping my dirt bike, but like being on 4 wheels and having no control and like flying through the air just feels wrong.
Oh, yeah. I know what people are getting into out here because number one, you don't know the property. I kind of gave you a little heads up. There's a quarry pit, so you kind of know that one. Best case scenario, I have you strapped in with a helmet and do the whole, yeah, check this out. I got a couple jumps up here, and then that tabletop into the pit, you just go full send, and people are like, oh my God.
I'm actually glad that didn't happen. That was plenty for me, but it was, the track is like way bigger than I expected. And when I've seen videos online, like it doesn't do justice to like how big and steep these hills are out here, especially for Florida. It's crazy, dude.
Yeah,
it's
that's
sick.
always the conundrum with anything we do. It's like, it doesn't matter if it's the track or even the tricks or the jumps. Like,
never does justice.
Camera always takes away, what did it say? It adds 5 pounds and takes away 10% of the stees.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
the balls.
Yeah. And then we went through like your shop and you have so many toys. Like,
no, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, your life is revolved around things that you really love and enjoy, and like getting the most out of this experience. It's really obvious when I like, step into your world, even just for a brief moment. And I think clearly like the through line with all of these different hobbies throughout your entire life has been the motorcycle. That's kind of what's like guided your life in a lot of ways.
Moto, everything. I mean, that's what I grew up doing. I'm in that generation, what are my Gen X, where I still would have to say, when I look at history, it's probably one of the best times to ever grow up as a kid. Social media,
80s and 90s.
Yeah, the 80s were awesome. I mean, I wasn't in the party stage of the 80s like some people, but like, I got to take it all in. I was born in 77. In the 80s, it's like, I think there was this wave of parenting. I always want to give props to my parents, where they were the generation that actually started doing more for their kids. I think the economy was doing better. The technology was getting better as far as dirt bikes. And we weren't so distracted by media either. You came home, you might have watched a couple cartoons on broadcast TV. And I was definitely, I would say, lower middle class, where we didn't have the satellite dish and what is now Wi-Fi or cable or streaming services, and which was what was before that, cable. And it was just that perfect window of, you came home from school, you watched maybe an hour of cartoons and ate some snacks, and then it was like outside until dark, drinking out of the water hose. All that stuff is true. You know what I mean? It's not like our parents didn't care for us, but it was just a different world. There was way less fear in it and a lot more freedom. And I think the parents were what made it perfect for me. Is I had a dad that was into motocross. My mom obviously knew that my dad was into that. They might have split up when I was like 5 or so, but neither one of them were like crazy overly controlling on me and let me ride bikes and shovel jumps and be dangerous a little bit. And my dad obviously supported me and pushed me at motocross a lot, and it was just in my blood. So everything, I mean, what sport is there that's more dynamic than motocross, really, besides maybe skydiving or something? And where do you go after jumping out of a plane? I don't know if there's anything riskier you can do. So moto has all the elements. So that has been the foundation of my life still at 48 years old.
I love talking about like growing up at just the perfect time, before the world just became digital, and like growing up at a time when your parents were more interested in like giving you opportunity, but not being helicopter parents, not being like overly gentle parenting and like raising like
Oh
wimpy
yeah.
wimpy kids, So I think that's the thing now is like a lot of people are raising kind of wimpy kids because it's all about gentle parenting. And
It's a potpourri, if you ask me. There's still, you can go to the motocross track. Maybe that's a beautiful thing about moto. You can go to the motocross track and you can still see the ones that are parenting their kids right. You can see the ones that are spoon fed and entitled, and
it'll show up on the track.
it comes out with grit.
Yeah,
Really.
yeah, I think there's something about like teaching your kids like that grit, like you're saying. And you don't have, I think like the Deegans are probably a good example of
Oh
this,
yeah.
of like, even though they're successful and they have a cushy life, like it is something that seems like Brian's instilled in Hayden, that like it takes grit to be successful. And it's something that I think is important to teach your kids.
Right.
And it's cool, like growing up in your generation, you're a Gen X, I'm a millennial, whatever. But like, I feel like before the internet, like when we were outside, like playing, learning lessons the hard way, breaking your arm, like throwing rocks at each other. Like, I don't know. I just think
It's
it's,
dangerous.
yeah, living a. So when did you get into riding? Were you pretty young? Like, was this before your parents got divorced?
Yeah, 4 years old. I was on a bike, hit my first fence. I think everybody gets that whiskey throttle right away to respect the bike. It's like, I don't know, the universe's way of saying, all right, this is something you better respect. So
You either run into a fence or
we're
a
going to put
truck
this
or some.
49 cc's of pure power in your hand and see what happens. And, I laugh because we talk about generational. Now kids have stay sticks and throttle control and push bikes for balance. And I will reference Hayden and the Deegans a lot probably in this because number one, Brian and I used to be like arch rivals in freestyle, and he was like definitely a better racer and had better success with that. And we've paralleled a lot of things as far as being family men, also expected to be wild ones and freestyle, this and that. So behind the handlebars and behind the closed doors of home, there's been a lot of learning lessons I think we've both gone through to raise kids and families. And I think we can both say in our own realms we're very proud of our kids, and Hayden's a great example of that as a kid. Taking it back to myself, just being at the motocross track. My dad was a like local racer, and back in those days, you raced hare scrambles, motocross, whatever was going on that weekend. If you were into dirt bikes, that's what you kind of did. And I just remember my first memories being in the back of the pickup truck, climbing trees, and being at the track in the pit area at hare scrambles. Dade City Raceway is where I kind of grew up racing, and was there on Thursday nights to practice, and Saturday night point series here and there, local Sunday races, and then it just expanded.
That's cool. It's cool how, you're referencing like you and Deegan and like learning these life lessons along the way. I love how moto seems to like teach you these things, things like hard work and dedication, and like all these things that it takes to like find success and be good at this sport. It seems like there's a lot of life lessons that you can carry over into like everything else, which is so cool.
Motocross has a lot of puzzle pieces that have to come together to be at the top. Hayden's definitely the best example of somebody that implemented every puzzle piece to be the maximum potential, right? And he's that generation of growing up with handlebars in his hands that were different than just a PW50 or a BMX bike. He had all those and other tools, and then tracks and backflip ramps and this and that. And he's been here a couple times in his amateur career. It's actually how I found out about my property, was by way of Daxton Bennick's dad, Todd, and Deegan calling each other and trying to like let me know what this place was and for sale. And they knew I wanted to move back to Florida. It was kind of a cool little sequence of events that tied quite a few people together. And then once I got the place, Hayden would come by here on his way to Mini O's and do a couple sessions. And I think it's when he first started his YouTube and stuff. And it was funny because Brian's like, "What? I don't know why you moved out here," but I don't think Brian knew my whole story of where I'm from and how my parents and growing up locally. But
Here he is living out here.
yeah. But just I'll get all scatterbrained on this podcast, so sorry.
All good.
I'll try to rope it in the best I can.
Yeah, bring it back.
And I love this stuff. I love being able to talk about it and like connecting the dots of career and then what I'm watching also as a fan of the sport. And
It's nice to take the time to like reflect on things a little bit.
Yeah, and it's cool to think about something like Hayden, because as somebody that knows I might have to get into like training riders one day or this or that, I'm always looking for what I want to do it at a high level. I don't want to just train people. I love the thought of training people to be better riders and not get hurt and not get injured. I've done that with the Marines. I've done that with other opportunities throughout the years. Even at Dade City, I used to teach the classes, and it was very rewarding and fulfilling to realize you helped probably save somebody from breaking bones in their life just in one day. But when it comes to fulfilling, I know that I want to train riders to be at their best. Doesn't mean matter if it's free riding or motocross. I've won Loretta Lynn's in the plus 45 sportsman class. So I can't say I'm this crazy accomplished racer. I was a local pro and won a lot of the things around here locally, so I'm not a slouch.
You can have an understanding of the fundamentals without being the best at it.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Is I know what it takes. It's puzzle pieces. Hayden's a great example that had all the puzzle pieces and then some, but you can't puzzle piece grit. That has to come by way of a passion for it and hard work and obviously determination. If you don't go put in the work, you're not lasting 35 minutes in a moto and barely breaking a sweat like that kid. So I would have to use him as an example to any rider I'm training. I didn't have it. I didn't have the money. I had to work 40-hour jobs. Probably didn't have the right people around me discipline wise. Like, it was just, my story is just weird. Like, my dad was devoted. He got me to the track. I had a window from 9 to 16 years old where I didn't even race dirt bikes, barely touched them because of chain of events with split parents and bad grades and little things that just shot me in the foot for a motocross career. So as I go on, I take a page out of people's playbook and I look at like people like Kyle Chisholm, for example, good friends of the family, who they weren't wealthy, but they had enough money where money wasn't so much the problem in their program. They could get Kyle to all the big races. This was before training facilities and all that, but he's a good example. Him and my brother Ricky were very paralleled in age and careers. They both made it pretty high, but Chiz kept on chizzing. He actually had a career of being a very consistent and fast and accomplished rider.
He was never the number one guy, but he was always there.
He's always been a person. I use an example though that worked hard, wasn't a spoiled brat. Because when I start thinking about training riders, I'm like, I want riders that are determined and skilled and have the work ethic and the grit, but they also have to have the financial backing. I'm not trying to thinking I want to line my pockets, but I want it to be worth my while if I'm putting time, effort, and sacrifice into somebody. And it might come across wrong, but the majority of people that have the money, their parents are usually they're usually difficult or douchey, or I don't want to deal with them, or they're overwhelming or overbearing or flexing their money. So it squashes. And then the kids that usually have all the grit and the determination and are feisty as hell
are
the ones that don't have the money. And it's like the heart in me wants to be like, I want to help that kid. So yeah, I guess I would want to put together, I'm thinking out loud a little bit, put together a program to have somebody help me financially back the kids that have that grit.
That'd be a cool next step for you. I love that. So it's a good way to like stay involved with this industry after your riding career is over, And
it's part of my program here. What my goal is with it down the way, once I stop utilizing it for my benefit, I do want to give back. They say one of the main purposes of life is to find your gift and then give it away. As a dad, I can kind of do that to so much, but I think I should be able to extend that way further.
I had that conversation. The very first episode I did for this last summer was with Salema Masakela. And he's someone who's like witnessed greatness, like all these moments in like X Games history of like just the greatest moments, the greatest athletes. And I asked him like, what is greatness to you? And his response like had nothing to do with competition. It was all about like giving back to the sport, like giving back to the thing that gave you so much. So like, that's what makes someone great in his eyes, which I thought was a really cool explanation.
What's the Spider-Man line? With great power comes great responsibility. And I'm not claiming I got great power, but I have had the opportunity to live an exceptional life beyond like less ordinary. There's no way around that.
Why not pass that down, or at least try to?
Yeah. So if I sat there and just attached my ego to it and it was all about me all the time, which you have to have that balance of that in life to be self-focused and self-paid and self-made. Um, it's a balancing act for sure to not be self-absorbed and self-indulged. And I would say that's where I struggle a little bit in life with the social media revolution and having to produce your own content. It's a different world now.
Exhausting.
Yeah, it's like, is it worth it? Is the juice worth the squeeze?
That's another thing too. Like if you're training athletes to reach that elite level, unfortunately, that's like one piece of the puzzle now, is you have to have like a brand behind you. You have to have like a following.
Right.
It's not only like you have to be good on the track, you have to be good off the bike. You have to be your own marketing department.
Oh yeah.
Like it's not just like I can show up and like win the race or win the competition. It's like you got to do all these other things with like the brand off the track now.
Yeah. I mean, there's the element of now I feel like I'm competing against myself, and it's hard being a competitive person growing up racing and doing X Games competitions, this and that, to get out of the mindset that I'm competing against other people. But I need to look around and see what the fans are watching and what they're doing. But I always want to be authentically me. And it is hard to try to keep up with the algorithms of life now. And
yeah.
I
watch, it moves so fast, dude.
People, if I had to say, what would I be doing if I was 25 years old? I look at Axel Hodges and Behrman and Carson Brown, Nick Thomas-Unis, guys that are paving their own way. And it's such a different template now. And it's like, do I try to replicate what they're doing or just stay in my lane? And I had the opportunity this year to actually, it felt really good, to be honest, just have them come by my place and do their thing and hop in where I can. And that was very rewarding at the end of the day. You know, I'd stack a couple clips of my own, but really made it more about them. And at the end of the day, it's how you feel. And it was very fulfilling to be able to do that.
I think it's cool. There's like a give and take, right? So like this new formula of like content creation and social media, it's such a grind and it's so exhausting, but there's also like freedom because you have the power in your own hands. Like you don't have to rely on brands and sponsors that could just clip you at a moment's notice. Like you are in control of your own destiny, which is really cool. Like if you're putting out content and getting like YouTube views and making money off of that, nobody can fire you, you know, which is cool.
In theory, I like the thought of that. It's hard for me to embrace because I don't like having my phone in my hand all the time.
It's not for everyone.
You kind of have to keep up with the algorithm. So there has to be a level of self-promotion. There's just not
even enough. Nick, he's like, dude, this makes me cringe. Like there's so many videos I put out on YouTube that I just like, I hate doing them, but like I make a living.
Yeah. I mean, there's not enough money. I'm not looking at everybody's stat sheets, but there's not enough money in it to like hire full teams. And nor do you, I know I don't want to live that life of having people filming me every day and me having to keep up with the film crew. So there's a level where I don't really care to ever take it to YouTube and stuff. And so my position right now is I'm still running the old business model to some extent of sponsors keeping the ship on course here. And CF Moto's been my biggest supporter the last few years. And it's been an awesome opportunity to represent a very cool up and coming OEM brand. It's right up my wheelhouse of where my age is. Their motorcycles are adventure bikes, which I've been pushing the limit on that 450 Ibex a little and motoing something that wasn't made to be motoed, proving that the bike's very capable. And they have a really good side-by-side coming out, which for the last 11 or 12 years of my life, I've been doing more four-wheel stuff as well. So they came to me knowing that I was this like somewhat ambidextrous figure in the industries that is working really well together, you know, and it's all coming to fruition really well now with that 450 coming out, a new side-by-side releasing literally like last week. And then I got Maxis and Thor, which are probably my bigger Moto est sponsors that keep me tied and inspired, I'd say, to make content and really feed my Instagram. My Instagram is my main page, and I'd be lying if I said it's not hard to say, if I just added this, I could do a YouTube or this or that, but it's more money. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think it's worth the effort and sanity.
Totally. Yeah, sanity's the main thing. Yeah, it's all about like where you're at, what's important to you. I want to go back to finish up the story of your childhood before we dive into your career. You mentioned that your parents got divorced and that forced you to stop riding for a while. What happened there?
Um, yeah, my parents divorced when I was 5 years old, and it didn't really disrupt much. You know, back in those days, you rode practice on maybe a Thursday night, if not at all, and then went to Dade City on Saturdays. And my dad had me every weekend for 3 or 4 years until I was around 9 years old. And I was a prospect to win Ponca City and Loretta Lynn's on P Dubs that year. And Robbie Raynard, of all names that are so damn close to mine, which is funny, he was the hot shot out there, and we were really close in speed. And for some reason, man, my mom, I love my mom to death, so it's not a bash on her or nothing. She just, you know, how her struggles go with divorce dynamics. Give her grace on that. She was trying to stifle me from going, like, didn't want my dad to take me for 2 weeks. And my dad knew that I had a chance to win that thing. And
At Ponca?
Ponca and
Yeah,
Loretta's,
and
you know, I
Loretta's.
won like a qualifiers and all that stuff. And um, technically, I would say I probably was the fastest on a stock P dub back then. Uh, yeah, I feel like Uncle Rico, right? Like, I can
Throw a football over the mountains.
So my dad just winged it and like basically kidnapped me, but he just said, screw it, I'm taking you to Ponca and Loretta's. And my mom basically used that as an opportunity to get him in hot water when he got back. And he had to make a decision to either like go to jail for 30 days or only get me every other weekend. And I was like, no way, man. I can't even think about that. I mean, number one, a kid shouldn't be getting put in the middle of all that. So shame on both my parents on that level to be ugly. And regardless,
Was it that she didn't want you to race, or just
No,
she didn't
no.
want you to be gone for that 2 weeks?
It was just a power struggle of like, my dad wasn't supposed to have me, and she didn't realize how important that was to me, probably. And I don't remember all that much on how much
It was
involved.
more about your dad than you.
Oh yeah, she just saw probably attorneys. Honestly, those sons of bitches are the ones that see money signs and
They're
don't
feeding it.
have any
like,
humanity in them. So, well, not all of them, but
a lot of them.
anyways, when I got back, he had that option, and I ended up only going to my dad's like every other weekend. And then I noticed the performance, the results. I moved up to 60s. You know, I was struggling a little, and my dad was a little more vocal and, yeah, I might say verbally abusive. You know what I mean? He was on my ass a lot more, and I felt like I didn't have to put up with it. And coincidentally, that's when Nintendo came out with Super Mario Brothers and Excite Bike. And as a 9-year-old kid, I was kind of fascinated by that stuff and thought, oh, I can just live life at my mom's and play video games and not have to have my dad yelling at me at the dirt bike track. And
Well, it's probably hard to have the results if you're only riding at the race once every 2 weeks.
yeah, and you're not consciously there at 9 years old, like to
Be
I
competitive.
wasn't anyways. Like I don't know exactly where my head was, but you know, you have family in your ear, you don't have to put up with this or that or that. And I don't know exactly, I haven't broken this fully down, nor do I want to fully not expose it, but talk about it online. But you probably get the gist of it. Like, it just got complicated. Me and my dad ended up not even seeing each other for like a year and a half. And then by the time I started coming to my senses at like 12 years old, it might have been like almost 2 years even. And just knowing that was where I should be was with my dad. And, you know, my brother Ricky was born, and like, I remember seeing him and being like, oh yeah, I'm a brother now. And like, yeah, it's kind of wild when you think back. Like, gravity just brought me back into my dad's realm more. And with that, unfortunately, it was kind of a slow integration back in the dirt bikes, because I kept getting bad grades, like just like 1D in my report card, and be like, oh, nope, you know, you drew a line there. If I got 1D, I wasn't getting a dirt bike again. So I didn't really get one until like my 16th birthday. I think I got maybe it was a little before that. My stepdad actually got me like an 85 or 80 back in the day, had me riding a little bit, but it was like a KDX or something like that. I was blowing the shocks out and wearing work boots, and so many little funny stories in between that, like local guys that would race at Dade City, I'd be like, yeah, dude, I used to race. I was pretty good. Yeah, right. You know, and then like I'd go ride with them, and I got like cowboy boots on or something, or work boots. And some Biaffi crappy helmet, and they're just like, yeah, you're kind of a goon. But then
you'd rip.
once I was pretty good, but like on a crappy bike, and they were like racing and all decked out. And once I got back into it at 15 or 16 and rapidly improved, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, you're legit.
That's a big break. Like,
Yeah,
it's
like
kind of like starting from scratch almost.
at some pivotal years, I would say, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, my first thought, like when you kind of mentioned the parents' divorce, I was like thinking, man, it's so nice to have the motorcycle through that time to kind of keep you focused on something. But it actually sounds like the opposite, that like you gave it up for a while.
Yeah, I did, but my stepdad, like, he was kind of like country boy. He'd always have a quad or something at the house. I was always like riding something. Like I said, he got me that KDX, and it's not like I was deprived, but I was always digging bicycle jumps. Like the BMX was the next step to a dirt bike, and it probably created a little bit of work ethic and group to sit out here in the summer in Florida and dig sandy bicycle jumps, So it was a good placeholder, and I don't regret my story anyway. It all made me who and what I am for when I'm here. I'm 48, alive, and still talking about it and still shredding. So
totally,
it's all good.
So when did you like fall back in love with riding?
I don't think I ever fell out of love with riding. It's always, I was watching Supercross, whatever, on ESPN. I was always obsessed with it. Trying to go to Supercross anytime it came to Tampa.
Did you get back into racing? When you got older?
Yeah, I went. I mean, racing was the only avenue. My introduction to freestyle and free ride is a cool story in itself, I would say, just by way of probably a lot of other people got into it. I just grabbed the bull by the horns a little harder.
Did you just see like the Krusty movies or like kind of get introduced that way?
Yeah, well, I got back into racing at 16, rapidly improved, started, went C class, 80s to C class to B class, pretty much top 10 at Loretta's every time I would go race in those things, but never. The only time I probably should have won was like 94. I broke my arm, like a hairline fracture 2 weeks before it. So I was wearing like a bowling, like a bowling wrist brace while I was racing the race. And I couldn't hang on good. So that sucked. I should have won. And then it was 2 or 3 years into like 97 where I mentioned the dates for the timeline of like anybody that knows freestyle knows that like 99 or so is when the
kind of really kicked
Sports
off.
and Music Festival and the Free Ride Entertainment
X Games.
Vegas things, and the X Games happened 99, 2000. But I would say Krusty Demons in 95, 96 when I was like a B rider. So long story short, when I was a B rider, I was a jumper. I love jumping. And we have Croom over here, which is a stone's throw from where I grew up, which has all these quarry pits and sketchy ass jumps. And I'd always find myself free riding and jibbing around and liking steep jumps and all that and finding jumps in the trees. And then you'd go to a track, any track that had a big jump, I would try like stuff I'd see on the videos. Or whoever's winning races at the time. Maybe it was McGrath with a knack. I remember trying one in the C class, or maybe when I was in the B class at Reddick. And
it's like such a familiar story to like pretty much any free rider or freestyler I've talked to. It's like grew up racing, but was just always attracted to like hitting big jumps.
Yeah. So I don't want to jump sequence because I was that kid. I was that guy. I liked wearing, like when Tommy Clowers and them had this SMP pants and all that. It was cool. But a little bit before that, Brian Manley, had one of the Krusty OGs, had moved to Florida and was racing local races. And he was like obviously winning the pro stuff and battling up front. And I was winning like B class stuff. And he kind of recognized that I was jumping. And one time out here at Croom, he saw me and some buddies hitting this nasty little double in the woods. And he's like, dude, that's pretty legit, And he like remembered me through that. And then we were at the banquet. I believe it was the 1995 Florida Series banquet. And he was there at it, and he's like, yeah, I got a video I'm going to show you guys tonight after the banquet called Krusty Demons of Dirt.
No way.
And they played that thing, and I was just, my eyes were like busted out of my head. I think Terra Firma might have been before that.
I think Krusty was first. Well,
Was
actually,
it?
I don't know. I don't really know.
They were really similar in timing. It was just something about the next level of actual free ride, let loose kind of styles. And he's like, I have 2 of these videos we're going to do a drawing for later in the day. And I'm pretty confident he rigged the drawing, knowing that like I just think that's how the universe kind of works. Like he knew that was I needed that video in my hands. But I get a little choked up thinking about it because
That's
it's pretty
crazy.
powerful.
It's crazy these like moments when you like cross paths with these people that just changes your life.
Yeah. And I get the video, and next thing you know, of course, that thing was on every single day of my life for who knows how long, while I'm trying to race and be pro and work 40-hour jobs, because I graduated in 95. I was probably around similar timing when I'm either needing to shit or get off the pot and grow up and deciding, am I going to chase the motocross dream? And one other significant thing that I'll say happened that I've never really shared, I don't think too much, is, Bill and Jerry West with Pace Entertainment, which I think then became bought out by Clear Channel. They were some of the OG Supercross promoters. I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to have the right puzzle pieces to be a pro. I don't have the money to do this. I got to work 40 hours. I'm out of shape when I race and don't have practice mechanics and bikes, let alone tracks. But I really liked building tracks. I liked the thought of building tracks. I didn't really know. I never had equipment to run, but I just knew I could do it. And I actually went down to his office and set up a meeting. And this is maybe when I was just a B rider trying to become A. It might have been 96, 97. And I wouldn't even have known that the guy knew me. Because I think they owned Gatorback at the time. And I was like, hey, Jerry, man, I want to get a job on the track crew at Dirtworks or building tracks for you guys and learn how to do it. And he's like, I love it that you're here, that you want to do that. He goes, but I watched you at the races over the last couple of years, and I'm not letting you throw that dream away. Dude, it's weird. I get a little choked up thinking about it because
it's cool. Those are big moments.
These are moments that really shaped my life and a career that I never expected. So
there's really moments throughout life where like that change your timeline. Like you could go this way or you could keep going this way, but then there's something that just kind of ricochets you in a different direction.
And people that,
yeah.
And it's like, I've never thought, I don't sit there and think about it every night, but then when you really think about, man, one pretty powerful person in the industry that believes in you and sees you is gnarly.
Sometimes all you need is that little boost of confidence that you can do it from someone that you like respect what they have to say.
It makes me want to go down the line and start thinking of all these people. You don't want to leave people out.
I've been wearing a lot of pieces from Foreign Rider's new analog series lately, and I really love what they're doing with it. The whole idea is a return to the roots, like going back to the fundamentals, making simple products really well. Everything is small batch, handcrafted in their hometown of Toronto, and built with the focus on longevity. Not just something you wear for a season, but something that stays with you over time. And that's what really stands out to me. It's not about having more, it's about having less, but better. It's about being intentional with what you choose to wear, how you choose to live, and choosing items that not only fit and feel amazing, but actually mean something. That's what Foreign Rider is really about. If that resonates with you, you can check out the analog series at foreignrider.com and use code BYND for 20% off site-wide. That's code BYND, all caps, 20% off at foreignrider.com. I think it's kind of what you did with like Tom Parsons, like he kind of mentioned to me how he was in a similar spot, like didn't really have a future in racing. He was just grinding it out as a privateer. He went riding with you in like, I don't know if it was Dumont or Glamis or somewhere.
Yep.
You kind of mentioned to him that, or like, I think you just kind of gave him some props and like gave him that confidence that like he could do this, and
right.
He just ran with it. You just need you need that person to be like, hey kid, like go for it. Like,
totally. Yeah. We're in stuff together, man. I mean, it's a hard thing to remember sometimes when you're competitive and you're looking out for yourself and there's like this scarcity effect because there is only so many spots on the roster here for people to get paid to play and get paid to ride a dirt bike, especially in free ride or freestyle. So you're like, hey, am I shooting myself in the foot here by integrating more people? And I've had situations even here at the track when I first brought this property and like being like, oh, I'm going to do something unique in Florida and set up this thing. where I can't just turn this place into a free for all on everybody coming out here and like blowing up my spot. And the next thing you know, we've seen that, been there, done that. And this guy somebody did something bigger than me at my own property. And I still don't know if that was the right play. Like, I don't want to like cut any names out or anything, but just try to get a hand on, I wouldn't say selfishly, but if I'm doing people a favor or a disservice, sometimes you can give people an opportunity too soon. They almost got to chase it themselves. Like if their parents are pushing it or something like that, they still have lessons in life to learn where somebody's making it easy to them. If you see their PR skills needing to improve first, it's hard to explain, but yeah, just me having those people that believed in me to stay focused on a dirt bike. And, I mean, I'd like to say Randy Yoho is like been a staple in my life for 40 years of somebody that, he's never, I wouldn't say ever like put in a word for me or anything other than like gave me opportunities to do freestyle shows at the track and stuff like that. And like his son, Kenny, is who I started doing freestyle with actually as the story progresses. Them knowing that I did freestyle, and Kenny was kind of the same attitude, a little bit of a jumper. He was more like of a partier, so he couldn't never dedicate as much as he needed to. Really talented racer. But chasing girls wild. And he'd maybe tell his story one day because he's still going and promoting races and all that here in Florida. But we started doing freestyle together, and it all happened because him and Rudy Waller and had an opportunity when Fonseca won the championship in '99 to go to Costa Rica and do a little freestyle exhibition at a party for him. They're like, hey, Renner, we've seen you do like knack-knacks and stuff before. You can do freestyle. You want to come with us?
So did you start, after you got this crusty film, did you start just learning tricks?
No, I just kept dicking around in the hills. Like anytime I'd find a sand pit or a sand pile, yeah, I would maybe bigger stuff at Croom.
You weren't like working to become like a freestyle rider.
No,
there probably wasn't a clear path to do that.
No, it didn't. It didn't click for me for a long time that I could actually set up shop, or I say pull up shop and move to California and do that. You know what I mean? It was always like, wow, they're living the life out there, and this is my life here. You know, I race and fart around in quarry pits and whatever. So
and suddenly you get this phone call to go to Costa Rica.
Yeah. I mean, and you got to remember, freestyle didn't really get to be in a way to make money. It was always just the pros farting around on their downtime. So that didn't happen until like 99 or so, where there was a batch of people that could actually go make money doing it. And then these little show opportunities like that popped up. And then Kenny made a ramp, and he's like, dude, come hit this ramp. You know, it's like down in Tampa area. You know, funny story. I'll try to wrap it up quick, but he's like, yeah, third gear. It's like 65 feet. And I'm like, all right, I'll take your word for it. I just missed the whole landing.
Dude.
Thank God I had some moto skills to not die. And then reeled that in. Next thing you know, we're doing little shows, and we were like, yeah, I think we could do a freestyle show at Dade City, and ended up having the fence lined up with people. And we had quite a few little tricks. Me, him, Rudy, and Travis Willis all had our unique little styles. I came out with like a disco jersey on, and like would just played off the fact that I would like dance on the hill and like a little bit of a clown almost. Cause I only had so many tricks, and those guys were actually a little ahead of me because they were already doing the Krusty Demons and SMP videos before that. So yeah, just another group of guys that somehow saw something in me to go a different direction than just racing. And Kenny was still in the same spot where he would race here and there. And I remember I think my last tip over point was Budds Creek 2000. I think it was 2000. Me and Kenny made the 250 two-stroke main, and it was hot as hell that day. And like at one point in the second moto, we were both cramping up and like stopped at the same tree bumming water off of a flagger during the race.
During the race.
That's hilarious. Like, what are we doing, dude? Like,
yeah.
I think it's time we start like doing freestyle full on. And
that's hilarious.
As more opportunities came up at like monster truck things around here, and before you know it, every weekend we're booked making $400 or $500 a weekend.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that was like my last hurrah with racing was doing okay. You know, I was making mains, and I wasn't making mains because just skin of my teeth missed those, and which allowed me to be a sportsman now. So there's the silver lining with that. I got 21st at Budds Creek one time. So as close as you can get to getting a point. But yeah, it just came to a point where I was, what am I doing? I'm spending all this money to race. The reality is I'm never going to have everything it takes. It by that time, 22 years old. It was fun, but it sucked going and getting lapped. And like I was one of the guys that complained about getting lapped.
So when you had this realization of like, I'm going to put my focus into this freestyle movement, this like up and coming genre of the sport, is that what inspired you to move to the West Coast?
I wish that was my story. I wish I could say that there's this big inspirational movie moment where I packed up my van to be a freestyle rider, but it wasn't. It was actually chasing my son.
Oh, okay.
My ex-girlfriend, we had a 8-month-old. I believe he was around 8 months old at the time, is when I started doing more and more freestyle shows. Her and I were not aligned. And she was from California, actually. And she kind of like, it's kind of wild, to be honest. Another story where somebody vouched for me that saw me ride Cameron Steele.
Oh, dude, he's awesome.
They had a Blue Torch event right by Orlando Motocross in 2000.
I miss Blue Torch. That's so cool.
Yeah, they were, me, Kenny, and Rudy were riding at Bithlow, and they had the track all gnarly, a couple big jumps, and we'd go there and practice tricks. That was like our practice spot on a Wednesday night, right in the middle of people practicing, and all the Blue Torch guys were in early, or not all of them, but a few of them. Tommy Clowers, Chris Rourke, a few, Tilton. I don't know. There was quite a few of them riding the track that night, and they saw us doing tricks, and like, dude, you guys are legit.
Yeah,
you should. And it's like, to me, it's a movie moment where they're like, hey, you should come. You should do the contest with it. We have a few extra spots.
What?
I'm like, all right.
Kidding me?
So they built this nasty ass course, like where they're building booters out of the ground, out of the sand, and like across the freaking wakeboard park, across the water, like 100-foot gaps. And those guys were all kind of nervous. And me, Kenny, and Rudy were the first ones to practice and guinea pigged all the jumps. So we like immediately got all their respect. I mean, Deegan, Clowers.
What a good way to prove yourself.
All the big guys were there. Like, all right.
It's kind of like when you get to prison and you got to like fight the dude to like prove yourself. You're like, kind of. I'm gonna jump all of this first.
I'm laughing because I kind of blew it. I would have been the freaking, I don't know. I don't want to throw myself. I was like the prison bitch because I came out. I didn't have that many tricks. I would jump everything, had decent style, but to get like more of a rise out of the crowd, I put like an afro on my helmet.
That's
with
funny.
like zip tied it on and had a disco sequence jersey and did like one of my tricks was like a disco point, kind of goofy stuff like that. And I'm sure Deegan and them with their shoulder pad spikes, not like, what's this freaking guy? But anyways, I
love that era though, because there was so many characters. Like,
yeah,
like whether it was you with the disco or like there's, Cowboy Kenny Bartram, and then there's the Metal Militia with the guar spikes, and like,
I realized that really quick. There was Mad Mike Jones. He was the wild
Flying
man. Flying Hawaiian. Cowboy Kenny, the Tomcat. Like everybody had their little thing,
their persona.
And I realized it wasn't even a few months after that. I guess I'll finish that story. I'll get railroaded here. Cameron Steele was like the announcer of that and a big part of putting all the riders together. And I think it was maybe a few weeks later was US Open and MGM, and they did a freestyle show with like Manu True. And that was like the big thing where freestyle almost started at stuff like that in Bercy, where it was like a halftime entertainment. And I was like, that'd be cool to be a part of that. And I don't have a bike out there or anything. And he's like, nah, we already have a full plate. But he goes, if you're out there, I'll get you a ticket, or I can't remember. You come watch or check it out or say hi or whatever it was. And for some weird reason, Jason Baker, who is now Dream Tracks, everybody knows, was one of my best friends. Still a great friend. He's like, hey, I just broke up with my girlfriend and I got an extra ticket to the US Open Supercross. You want to come out with me? And I'm like, yeah, that'd be sick. And this actually spiraled my separation with my girlfriend and inspired her to move to California with my kid, which I thought I was just calling her bluff. It was like a temporary thing. Because I didn't ask her. Knowing now what I know about relationships, I probably should have asked and should
have learned from your dad.
Talked to the partner a little bit here. I just said, yeah, dude, I'll figure it out with her. That's a great opportunity. I'll take the ticket and come out and hang out. I want to watch that freestyle show. And meet those guys. I got kind of invited to say hi or whatever. So I get a couple days later, I'm like, hey, I told Jason I'm going to go with him to Vegas. I honestly didn't know the potential of Vegas and how squirrely that place is, and for a relationship alone to be going there solo for single. And whatever the case, she wasn't pumped about it. We ended up fighting about it, probably other things building up, and she ended up bailing with my kid to California to her parents' house. So I take up Jason, go with him and his family, Vegas. I was missing my kid. It was like a week or two. I had a credit card with $500 to my name that would max out. I mean, can't go get dinner with that anymore. But I decided to rent a car and drive from Vegas to Long Beach to see my kid. And that bitch freaking served me with freaking papers when I was there, knowing I had no money to like fight for it. Her parents probably helped her or something. And I was kind of naive to what my rights were. I got served, so I had to like sign it right there that I got it. So next thing you know, I'm in litigation to have to go to California to fight for like custody or whatever my kid. And yeah, what a wild chain of events.
It's weird because it's probably in the moment seemed like the absolute worst thing ever, but it kind of like led you in the right direction.
Totally. Yeah, that was like October of 2000, and by 2001 I was packed up, moving my van with all my belongings and every dollar to my name to California to try to make things work with the mom and be, I probably shouldn't have done that. But now you're in the epicenter of where this industry's happening. And maybe without this bad thing happening, you wouldn't have ever made it there. Therefore, your career might have never taken off like it did. Yeah. And another situation of meeting people. I through the little bit of freestyle I did, a promoter down in Chile was doing a supercross, and Rudy and my Florida guys recommended my name to go down, and he threw me on a flight. I get on the flight and I realize Randy Lawrence is sitting next to me. Jeremy McGrath's mechanic.
No way.
Somehow the promoter convinced Randy Lawrence to come down and race dirt bikes. And him and I hit it off really well and talked about life. The whole, such a good dude. After we did that trip, we ended up coming back to Cali, kept in touch. He invited me out to like Beaumont and all these spots I used to watch on the videos to ride. And I got hooked up with like one of the best days of riding ever. It's like, I've always had this knack for like the first time I go somewhere, it's the best dirt you could ever imagine. So you think like,
that's how you think it always is.
Yeah. It spoils you kind of. But while I was out there riding with him and some just normal everyday guys that just like to ride, they weren't big jumpers or anything. I was like standing out on kid in a candy store. Like, I'm going to hit that thing. I'm going to hit that thing. And, came across Graham Gustin, who was a freestyle guy at the time. Him and some buddies all shoveling a jump up, and I just started sessioning a jump with them. Like, dude, you're pretty good. And yeah, I'm from Florida and just moved out here and got their information. And the story telltales that they were super pumped on me because they thought these jerks were going to come in, session the jump they just got done shoveling and leave. And I actually dropped my bike and like helped shovel it back. They're
nice.
Like, oh, dude, you're good in our book,
Yeah, yeah.
So that became a group of riding buddies. Because go back just a month or so when I moved back to, kind of looked like a little bitch with relationships, but hey, it's for my kid. You know what I mean? I tried to make it work with my ex, and she had like a conditional thing. Like, yeah, we'll make it work if you get a real job and you start providing differently or whatever. She just wanted to control what I was doing. And like, yeah. I went and got a night shift job at Office Depot or something. And as all that's, I'm going to ride during the daytime, and that's when all that stuff happened. I met these guys, and I had that opportunity to do the show that worked out. Before you know it, those guys introduced me to people with Milestone MX that had the Blue Torch people evolved into Milestone, which had a series going around. And I went to Tucson, did a contest, got like 12th or 13th, beat a couple of the big name guys. Then they put my bike on the tour. Before you know it, Office Depot's like, no, dude, you can't be bailing on a Thursday or Friday. Like, we need you here Friday night or whatever it was. And I'm like, well, I'm making $1,000 to do these shows or whatever. So I quit the job. My ex was not pumped about it. We broke up. I moved to Riverside.
Seems like such an obvious choice.
Lived with some dudes. Yeah. I mean, it's hard. Family's important. It's, my kids are important, and you want to do what's right for them, but you also don't want to live a mundane life, not following your passions and your potential. So
And I think doing that is what's doing, being your best version of yourself is doing what's right for them, you know?
yeah, I just met a group of guys was living with that we were hitting ramps every day at this nasty dairy farm place. This awesome farmer Pete let us like set up a ramp, set up flies, and smelled like crap. Which that's all called Norco now, which doesn't even have any dairy farms left. We called it the dairy. And I'm telling you, man, I rapidly improved my freestyle game to being a 14th place guy to the last round of that series. Like 4 months later, I was battling like Chris Rourke and guys for the win.
That's cool.
And it's wild. It's wild to think the risks that I was taking with not really having anybody, you know, my family, anybody that could scrape me off the ground was in Florida. Had friends and stuff, but you just aren't thinking at that point. You're just driven and determined.
But it's like do or die. 'Cause you're risking it all because you have to prove yourself, and you're on the come up, and like, it's this moment where you're like, do I want to spend my life at Office Depot?
Yeah.
Or do I want to like risk my health, but like have this really cool potential future?
Yeah, that wasn't happening. I was going to risk it.
Yeah, totally. Did you like,
maybe if my ex was more pleasant, I might have been more inspired to go whole different path. Cause I do believe in family and relationships. I think taking precedence over any of this stuff. I do think family is more important than motocross. And your relationships, you know what I mean? But like, if you're doing it right, you can't have both worlds.
Right. And I think if like somebody that truly cares about you would want you to like chase your dreams.
Totally.
Right.
Totally.
When you were working at Office Depot full time, did you envision that you were going to find a way out and like make a living off of moto, or were you kind of just content at like, or were you kind of in the mindset like, this is my new reality, I just ride for fun?
That's how it started. I didn't really know what to expect. I mean, freestyle was so new. There was no like, I want to jump on that tour. I was like, oh, I heard about this series. They might have a spot. So I went to Tucson. I didn't have a crazy goal. I mean, I didn't think I was ever going to be an X Games rider. And really, I'm glad I actually went back a little bit, because at those RMX events, I think it was Topeka, Kansas. I'll go back actually. The first one I went to in Tucson, wild weekend, man. I watched the militia in full effect partying and this and that. I'm trying to like hang out and get like the mutual respect from those guys and keep the pace. And like, they were wild. Like the stories are true, like how wild some of those guys were. And I'm like, that ain't me. And then you got Cowboy Kenny, who's living with his girlfriend in his trailer, and they're throwing beer bottles at his freaking car. And I'm like, well, I don't want to be that guy, but I also don't want to be the one that is the jerk.
You don't want to be like the jerk, but you also don't want to be picked on.
Yeah, exactly. So, there was like a little bit of an identity crisis there. And like, you know, I'm in Riverside, California, and you're going out to the clubs and you're thinking you're on one of the crusty videos like Metzger dancing. And, so there was some moments of me trying to find myself wearing Dickies and a wife beater shirt and studded belt. It's like that shit.
That was the scene.
So a couple months of that. But anyways, we go to Topeka. In Tucson, I was watching Step Up, and Tommy Clowers was the guy.
Yeah.
He was battling with probably Twitch, or he's battling with somebody that night. And he ended up getting all kinked out sideways. It was a really crappy landing, and flies off the bike, breaks his collarbone. And I'm like, dude, I will never do that. He's the best of the best. And he just ate crap doing that, you know? So we go to Topeka. My bike's on the trailer the next week, and they're like, hey, at the riders meeting, we need a couple guys to do Step Up tonight, because, you know, it's like a show. Basically, it's an arena show. It's like $500 extra. And I'm like, I'll try it. Like Rudy Waller was there with me. And I'm like, hey, Rudy, just sit like eye level with the landing, and like, just give me a hand gesture if I'm going high enough to not look like an idiot out here. I'm going to hold my own. And Rudy's like, all right, cool. Couple jumps in. He's like, you know, stretching his hands out farther. And then he's like, I can see it in his eyes. Like, holy shit, you're freaking sending it. So next thing you know, I'm like battling Twitch at like 30 feet. The record at that time was like 31 or 33 feet. It wasn't even that big. I mean, that all comes down to how they build it anyways. And I'm like, dude, I'm in it with these guys now. I'm doing better at the competitions. Now I'm like doing Step Up. It feels natural.
Cool.
I'm having fun. I'm getting their respect, you know? And
that's probably a really cool time in your life.
Yeah. I didn't have like some mission like I need to get these guys respect. I was just being me, trying to find my place, show that I could ride, and really just winging it to some extent. So that was a pivotal night to where the next stop of the competition, it was Bakersfield. I don't remember. I had couple months to practice in between. And I just remember learning quite a few tricks. Here we come with another story of somebody that believed in me. That was two people. Anthony Paggio, who was former Florida racer, then the big Oakley rep, who was tight with Carmichael and Stewart and only really scouted premier elite riders, actually approached me in the early summer. Like, dude, you're killing it with freestyle. I think you got a lot of potential. And it was within maybe the same week even, I had stopped by Troy Lee Design's office in Corona. Literally just drove in. This is a small little shop. And I'm like,
Just
hey,
introduce yourself.
I want to ride for you guys. I got some ideas. I saw their mountain bike line of equipment had shorts and all this stuff that looked really cool. And like we were wearing the shorts over the boots kind of thing. And it had like that S&P kind of look. And I'm like, we're riding right here down the road in Norco. Come and watch. Dude, Troy happened to be there. Like, sounds good. And I believe it was Kenny Alexander, who's now Fast House. They were tight back in the day. And a couple people from Hollywood, they all jumped in Troy's van and literally came out to that shitty dairy farm and watched me ride.
Really?
So I did like a private show almost.
Like that same day?
Yes. And like showed off for Troy Lee, the man himself.
That's sick.
And bitching. I mean, we got to do something with you and this and that. And like,
that's literally like a movie. Also,
dude, I'm telling you, it's wild. It's like, I'm no Pastrana, I'm no Deegan as far as this grandiose life, but like it is cool when I start thinking about these little moments that were so big to me.
You couldn't script that
with some big names.
Yeah. A movie.
He's like, yeah, I got to get you going. And I started realizing like, well, I got to start making money with this besides the contest. I should get paid. I don't have an agent and stuff. And I always told myself I was going to be my own agent because I was going to be my college. I'm going to learn how to deal with these people and negotiate things. And it was chump change. But Anthony with Oakley offered me some money more than I would have expected for a goggle and eyewear deal. So then I knew my value and my worth a little bit to pitch something to Troy. He's like, well, look, I don't have money right now, but I see your van's kind of old and this and that. And I'm actually about to go get a new van. How about I give you my van? And I'll like,
gave you his van?
He gave me his, like, this was 2001. And I believe the van was like a 94 or 95. No, it was a 96. Pretty sweet, AC back van with like a little flame paint job, Troy Lee's specific paint job. Gave me that, he got me connected with KMC wheels. Next thing you know, I got this sweet ass van cruising through town. And I think later in the deal, we ended up working a deal with a little bit of cheddar attached to the deal. And then, I was with him from 2001 until 2012.
That's crazy.
Yep. And still look at him like every time we see each other.
That's amazing.
Skip a beat. It's like mutual respect and kind of buddies,
Yeah. So you've had a wild ride through, like, I mean, you've been there since the beginning you've been witnessing this freestyle free ride sport since the beginning, and you were a part of it early on, and you've witnessed, whether it's through motocross or freestyle, I feel like you've witnessed like so many different eras of moto. What's it been like to see the evolution and change of the sport of moto over time?
It's wild to think about it. I am from the days of Bob Hanna. Bob Hanna is like my ultimate hero, I think. So if people ask me who's my favorite, I got to say Bob Hanna, because he was the one that he kind of had a freestyle attitude even before freestyle was a thing. And I don't know if he had a freestyle style, though. He was pretty wild on the bike. Danny Magoo Chandler, stuff like that. But, they were riding crappy bikes and hammering on them. So I got to watch all of that into the 80s. And then the people that got more serious, going from Ricky Johnson, which is another person it's been flattering to know that he's like a friend. And like, I would have never guessed that he would be somebody that respects me and talks to me like it's such a similar level. Maybe even Jeremy McGrath, like all the guys that I looked up to. And
dude, insane.
When you meet him, he's like, seemed just as stoked to meet me as I was him. Like cool stuff like that. Yeah, it's flattering. But yeah, I mean, we could talk forever probably about racing alone, just because I do have a passion for it. But
There's been a
It's
lot of change. Like if you think about
oh yeah.
from Bob Hanna to Jet Lawrence or Seth Enslow to Axel Hodges, like the evolution
I'll
of
probably miss names is my problem. Why I don't want to go too deep, but I'll give you
just the
the rough
change.
draft. I said Bob Hanna. Then you got Johnny O'Mara, David Bailey, Ricky Johnson. That whole thing. How Bob Hanna would infiltrate their little punch. Jeff Ward, and then here comes John Michelle Bale with the effortless style, and then Jeff Stanton with the crazy work ethic, who would just kill you with fitness. And
It's
then
like each person's laying a new block.
Bradshaw, Matasevich, those rivalries, those battles into McGrath's dominance and Jeff Emmig's wild style, Emig became one of my favorite guys. Before he was even a crusty dude, something about Fro was just like, he was a disruptor kind of, right? And I liked Yamaha back in the day, so he was like hammering on that, like, I think it was an 02, 03 Yamaha, which had a tear. You'd read motocross action and be like, that bike's a piece of crap, but he was still winning races. And then, he would disturb McGrath's dominance. As much as I liked McGrath, I still like the underdogs and people that would take somebody like that. So then, who came next? Carmichael and James Stewart, Villapoto, Dungy. And
as you mentioned all these things, it's like each rider, each era kind of lays the foundation for the next to build off of and like
right.
progress. And like they have better and better tools and knowledge and technology, but also like lessons learned from all the people that came before them.
Right.
It's cool.
It's kind of like a little history book.
What's been your favorite era? Like if you could think of a time in moto from then to now, like what's like the golden years to you?
That's a hard one for me to pin down because I've had such a selfish perspective, and to some extent, you try to always be a fan of moto and pay attention. But what I know in my career, when I was really dedicated and devoted, I didn't pay as much of attention to the moto scene. If I had to really just pick one, I something about the David Bailey, Johnny O'Mara, Ricky Johnson, Jeff Ward era that I think was hard to top.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it could be related to just like when you were a kid and like
maybe
like a young like fan of the sport. Cause for me, it's like the 2000s, and like
how old were you? I was 12 or 13. So I was kind of
so I was 12 or 13 at that time. So like, yeah, watching like, Pastrana come up and like Carey Hart doing the first backflip, like that was such an iconic moment. And like RC and McGrath, kind of the changing of the guard. To me, that was like a really cool era. And there was so much energy behind the sport. Particularly freestyle. That was this moment where like the backflip was like this new thing. And that was like this really pivotal time in the sport when Carey, whether you are on the side saying he landed it or he did it, like
I gave him the props. That was ballsy.
And he went big.
Yeah, so huge.
But like no matter how you feel about that was kind of like a very pivotal moment in freestyle. Even though the sport was so young, it just changed everything. Like a lot of riders at that point, made big names or they fell off. In your opinion, how did the backflip change the sport?
Yeah, well, I was right there. As I call myself the second wave of OGs. The first ones are the Metzgers, another one of my all-time favorites, inspirational guys. I mean, McGrath, Deegan, all the original crusty guys. Tommy Clowers, the ones that would go to the contest, Mad Mike, we already talked about him, Flying Hawaiian, all these characters. Like, this is becoming a legit genre of motocross. Like, all eyes were kind of on it and people were captivated and fascinated. So I came along in 01 and there's Van's Triple Crown, the IFMA competitions. Like, it was becoming its own entity. And there's one name that you can't leave out with freestyle motocross, and that's Travis Pastrana being the alpha and the omega, I think, of the rise and fall. He was there from basically day one as a kid in Krusty's. And I don't say that he ruined the sport in a negative way. He just set the bar so high with the double flip only generally 6-7 years after freestyle was like a thing. You went from backflipping and combinations a couple years, or within 3 years, I think it was 03, 02. No, 02 was when Metzger did the back-to-back flips at X Games, Philly. A year later, there's these huge combos. By 2015, my right side up tricks were competitive and I was winning contests. Thank God to those. And then it just add like one backflip in my run. I hated doing it. Wasn't a fan of the flip. But then Travis made the freaking bar levers and all that where you could do combinations, and then living in the foam pit and the work ethic and the grit that he had from motocross transition. And same with Deegan. They would put all their effort every day into the foam pit and like grinding at a moto training level. And I'm right back to like, shit, man, I don't have those opportunities the same. Not complaining. Not saying poor me. I'm just saying like,
also, it's so gnarly and dangerous when you get to that level.
Day to day, to be doing that stuff in your backyard when there's not a paramedic on site and all that. It's insane.
That double backflip was like probably the most iconic moment in freestyle motocross history. But at the same time, it almost ruined sport in a way.
It did. I mean, not in a negative. I don't mean that in any sense of a negative. People's expectations. And that is in cahoots with society and media and social media and the oversaturation of media now, to where people's expectations and their bandwidth is like, it's 15 seconds of fame. Somebody could do a quadruple backflip on a dirt bike right now and it wouldn't even make a splash, when that would be almost, I would say, I'll never say impossible again, but let's face the facts, a triple people have gotten killed doing. So let's not take it to that level, airbag or not. It gets to a point of
it is something
risk to reward. It's just not worth it anymore.
There. Especially if people aren't that interested. What's crazy is like the early days when you guys were just doing these like small jumps with doing like a Superman, people were so stoked. When the heart attack came out, it was like unimaginable. Whoa, dude, he's like standing up on his seat doing a heart attack.
Bro, I had stuff in my career. I remember Kenny and Rudy, we'd be at the shows, they're doing this single. I'm like, I could figure that seat grab out. Well, next thing you know, they start doing double. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm drawing the line there. That's just dumb. You're gonna fall off the back of the bike. I don't need to do that. Well, what happens next? I go to California. Chris Work does the rock solid. So it's a double grab, let go. And I'm like, I'm not doing that, dude. That's where I draw the line. Next thing you know, I'm battling him in the contest. I'm like, I better start doing that. Or else I'm not going to win. So it's amazing. Look, number one, seat time's important in comfort zones, but I've always been a person personally, if I see somebody else doing it, there's no reason I can't do it.
Good point. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, a point with, is it worth your life?
Yeah. But the weird thing is that like, you would think that as the sport has progressed, that the interest would like increase, but it's weirdly like the crazier the tricks get, the less interesting it is to fans. I don't know why.
I don't know where to point the finger. I mean, I say oversaturation might be the biggest thing, and nobody's really at fault for that. Maybe over sensationalizing possibly like best trick competition instead of just having a freestyle run, because then you just look for the highlight reel and the clickbait, and the clickbait, all that stuff's a real thing in our current time to where you can't deny it. That has an effect. But I would say as far as the sport go, I mean, look at skating. They all have their ebbs and flows of being popular, killing it. Like the peak of freestyle was when there was this huge, larger than life course in the middle of the Home Depot Center in LA, or in the LA Coliseum. And you got Pastrana and Deegan battling on doing 360s, huge course, huge tricks.
And at that point, like things were progressing. So like you didn't know what was possible. So like you're exploring like the edge of possibility.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't think you can flip a motorcycle. I don't think you could do a 360.
Right.
Like, but then like these guys are doing it. Now it seems like everything's been done. So like people like Travis, does a double backflip 360. And like nobody really like pays attention, which is crazy.
It is what it is. I mean, I've got a reality check, and if there's a sadness to it with moto, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but I look at the trajectory of society and our economy, and it's pretty linear, good direction. It's going up and up and up. But you can go to the motocross track and you can see everybody's got a damn motorhome or a nice vehicle, nice bikes. For the most part, people are doing better off in life. The thing is, there's just about the same amount of people racing and motocrossing as there was 20, 30 years ago. It doesn't seem like it's I don't think the growth is proportionate with the growth of society. I think moto's a way lower trajectory for what it could be and should be. Like, look at the popularity of team sports and all that. They're just adding expansion teams and all these. We can barely fill all the supercross stadiums. It's not a shot at the sport. I just think that it's only can be so relevant to so many people.
I've been working with 805 Beer for close to a decade now, and to me, it's much more than just a beer. I feel like they represent a way of living. 805 was born on California's Central Coast, where life moves to the rhythm of surf, motorcycles, music, and the outdoors. Whether you're coming off a ride, hanging out with friends, or watching the sunset at the end of an awesome day, 805 is right there with you. What I respect most is their commitment to sustainability. This is their home, and they treat it that way. Conserving water, reducing waste, and constantly thinking about how to do things better for the future. They support the athletes, the events, and the culture that we all care about. But more than anything, they support a lifestyle that's real. That's why 805 has been a staple in my life for so long. Supercross has had a bit of a resurgence lately. I feel like it's growing a little bit.
A little bit, but
I think action sports was way more part of the mainstream culture back in like the early 2000s, the late 90s, early 2000s. I feel like just like X Games and like skateboarding and moto.
It meant a lot more. People were like looking forward to X Games popping on TV. I think COVID might have had a little impact on squishing that. Because next thing you know, they're not doing it in stadiums anymore, and they're in Axel Hodge's backyard, and it just got wimped down big time. Where it didn't have that larger than life feel if you tuned into TV, because let's face it, everybody can't be live event, and shit sounds good when it's in LA. You know what I mean? It moved from LA to Austin, Texas, which was okay for a couple of years.
Well, and also now with content creation, like when you watch Axel on Instagram, it's gnarlier than like most things you'll see at X Games.
Yeah.
So like when you watch the contest, it's not that exciting. You're like, oh, dude, I saw something way cooler on my Instagram feed.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's as gnarly as Axel is, there's still a production value behind it. You can't edit what he's doing, but it's pre-edited. Anything live now seems to be, it doesn't have the same effect as like a sports team. You can go watch, I was like sitting at the restaurant last night and hockey's on TV. I'm not into hockey. But I'm like, every given night, you have a full stadium 50 times a year. We can't even fill half of Tampa Stadium when Supercross comes to town.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in my perfect world, being so passionate and loving moto, you wish people would get it, but it's only so many people are going to be into it. Number one, it's dangerous. It's expensive.
It's not for everyone.
Yeah, it's just not for everyone. You have to embrace that.
Speaking of competition, I think if there's one thing that you became known for in competition, it was probably Step Up. What made you so good at Step Up? Was it like technique? Was it mentality?
If I had to dissect it, I think it comes down to a few things. Like, I still love to ride my bike. I hated getting judged. So it was a clear-cut winner. I like jumping steep jumps, and that all started right here at Croom. I always had like this passion. And then when I moved to California and would go to places in Utah, any free ride spot, I would always look for the steepest jumps. So it really fit my style but it started before I started free riding. So I got to go back to Croom. And then, like I said, I got invited to that contest. So I just felt kind of natural with it because of that.
I can tell, by the way, just the way you built your track. Going up the faces of these jumps in that side by side. I'm like just blind going up this wall. I'm like, oh man, all of this is so steep.
Everything feels bigger in a side by side way, especially when you got a lap belt on.
Yeah.
And a nut job behind the wheel. So yeah, I think it started out, you go with what you're coming. If I know I stand out at something, of course I'm going to push it harder and want to win. There's a will to win there. But it just natural feel for, I like those steep jump and steep faces. And then if you have a chance to win, and there's a million elements that drive you, it's money, success, sponsorships, probably a couple girls in the crowd, a couple things add up, but it was at the end of the day, just natural for me. And that's kind of my thing in life is I'm not a daredevil type. You know, I'm not the one trying to be Robbie Madison. I'm a more choose my battles and be methodical kind of guy. But that is my one place to be like, all right, I could go to the hospital tonight, but I'm going to try to win this contest. And I choose my battles wisely, and that's one where I just know it's going to be a war. And that night that I broke the record, me and BYND went at it in 2012. He had beat me a couple of years prior. Little things added up every year where I had a fire inside of me that was, you know, pretty deep. There was a year where I didn't even get invited into the contest because it was like a popularity contest. And it was time. I was factory KTM. I had an awesome bike. There was no excuses. BYND was the freaking toughest competitor I ever had because he had the same, he was going to freaking lay it all on the line every time, shoulder popping out and everything. But
yeah, he was good at step up.
Yeah, I do owe a lot of it though to my free ride love, to just pop off of a big lip with not a lot of momentum. And that's actually where I felt comfortable whipping the bike and brought my own style to that.
Yeah, I think you kind of brought a new technique to step up because before, like the OG days, like Tommy Clowers and stuff, it was just launch straight up. But you could tell, like when you came in with this new technique, if you just think about it, like you lay your bike flat, that's like 2 or 3 feet right there that you're gaining just with the wheel clearance, like over the bar. It's so smart. Not only that, but just from a fan's perspective, it looked sick.
Yeah, thanks. It worked out well for me for quite a few years. I think I had like a 5-year run. And then Jared McNeil came in, who's a great whipper, great little bike rider, lighter weight. Like some of the variables I knew that I had to my advantage besides like good bikes with KTM, was I was only 155 pounds tops. So not a huge dude. There's less weight, and less weight equals horsepower, and good skills don't hurt anything. But McNeil came in and definitely stole my thunder there for quite a few years. And our last battle was the whole seat bounce thing threw me off because, you know, they say if it's not broke, don't fix it. So why would I change the seat bounce style if stand-up style worked? But after getting your ass kicked a couple times, it's like, okay, I might have to change my way.
Seems like it was so scary to
I never
bounce.
practiced step up because it was too risky for my back and bikes and everything. And you just don't seem to wing it like the same. So when I was at home, I could never figure out a way to practice seat bounce in a lip like that. And it wasn't until that last year I got to Minneapolis. Like, dude, if I don't figure out how to seat bounce this, I'm going to get my butt kicked tonight. So I literally in practice started doing it. And that whole night or whatever, it wasn't even that many jumps. Usually the contest escalates. Well, this one was already knocking people out after a couple rounds. So I didn't have a lot of time to adapt. And me and Raha tied, and Jared got us on the last height. And I was like, man, I swear if I had I'm sitting on the line, I don't even know where to put my butt on the seat right now because I'm just totally winging it and learning as I went.
They didn't give you much practice before the contest started?
They do, but I just didn't start seat bouncing it until about halfway through practice. I'm like, that's why I realized if I don't, I'm screwed because they quit making the lips as steep as they used to. And I think some of the riders had input in that actually seat bounced it. So we were contradicting what we both wanted out of the lips. So I had to embrace it. And I think if I had one more year, I would have given him even a better run for the money because I would have been way more confident to seat bounce it. But then COVID came and that was it for step up.
Was it ever scary going that high?
No, I mean, in 2017 in Minneapolis, I had to pull out of the contest because I re-injured my back. So in 2012, when I broke the record for 1 second or so, like half a second, when I landed, the seat hit me in the ass. And it felt like it paralyzed me.
Oh, is that when you landed and you kind of got off your bike and you were like, oh,
I almost fell over. It's like couldn't feel my body.
Really?
Yeah. It paralyzed me for a second. I luckily didn't crash. So I climbed out the bike and as McGrath said on the commentary, oh, he's wincing. He's wincing. Yeah, I was wincing. All right. I freaking thought I was paralyzed. And then, I go a few years later, I won a few since then, whatever. And then, it was 2017 and in Minneapolis, I landed off one and the same thing kind of happened and it hurt even worse. And there was still 3 or 4 people left in the contest. And I was just kind of going for a podium. I'm like, I can't pull my clutch in. My hand was shaking. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to send it on the next lip. So I just pulled out of the contest. There was no way I was going to go for it.
You're just going to injure yourself.
Like that.
Yeah.
So I go to the medical unit. They take an x-ray. They're like, oh, when did you break your back? I'm like, I didn't know I broke my back. Like, yeah, you got calcium deposits on your lumbar. You broke your back sometime or other. I'm like, well, it could have been 07, 08, 9, 10, 11, 12. And the lady's just shaking her head. And I'm like, it could have been any year. Like, it hurts every year after I do this.
Dude, that's hard on your body. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's one of those things. I don't regret it. No regrets.
Must be a crazy feeling though. Like I just imagine like on an X Games night, you're at like the final few jumps, battling for the win at world record height. The whole world's watching, and you're like, what was the highest you went?
That was, I think, 47 and a half, 47
So
feet.
you're almost 50 feet in the air, floating over a bar, laid flat. What does that moment feel like? Does time slow down for you during like?
I can definitely take myself back. There's a lot of feels that come with those moments, you know, but you're so locked in. You're not thinking like nothing about executing. That's just the word I would always use. You're just executing at that moment. And it was a tough night. Miles Richmond was a great friend of mine. He broke his femur earlier in the contest. You got to sit and watch that. And then that's in your head like, oh, this crap's real. But like I said, I was so dead set to win that night and make a statement that it was, yeah, we'll walk in.
That was a cool event. For a while there, you'd get all these really cool kind of celebrity appearances with like, you know, Carmichael or McGrath, or like some of the racers would show up to do step up, which was always like so entertaining.
Oh, me and Carmichael had a duel. We tied for the gold in like 09. And that one really did not settle well with me because I was pissed off because according to the rules, they like ran out of time and he crashed out and I was supposed to get another run with the gate moved back 5 feet was like the next step of the competition if nobody made it. And the promoter's like, nope, we're just going to give them both the gold. I'm like, no, bullshit.
You can't share a gold.
No, I'm like, hell no. Like, no, they both get the gold. We were, you know, and I'm like,
oh, he tied with the GOAT. That's
I
cool,
know, but
know?
he wasn't the GOAT of freestyle. He was the GOAT of Supercross. So I wanted to get him fair and square. But yeah, wasn't the end of my life there.
Did they at least give you full prize money? They didn't split that.
I was like, that's my thing too. I was like, you're paying me full on. Like, I mean, I think it broke down to maybe even be more money because you split first and second or something like that. Forget how it worked, but yeah, little things like that just keep you fired up. I mean, at the end of the day, it's competition. It's your livelihood. It's you know, important. Ego. I'm proud to say I don't think I ever had a crazy ego with stuff. I don't think that drove me. I
think there's like a balance. You have to have a little bit of an ego to like be willing to risk it to like win.
Yeah.
But then it's like keeping it under control.
Yeah. And, you know, live to fight another day or be like, this ain't the one.
Yeah.
Some people didn't have that. And like a lot of people didn't make it far because of that, you know?
Why'd they get rid of Step Up? That was like one of my favorite events. I loved it.
I don't know the formal excuse. I know that COVID, there wasn't even an X Games in 2020. And then when they brought it back, it was like Axel's house and this and that. And they just shaved a lot of weight on the comp.
You know. Is it because of quarter pipe? Maybe he had like another vertical event.
Maybe. I'd be talking out of my butt if I said exactly why.
Okay.
It's kind of a bummer. They talked about almost bringing it back, and
it'd be so cool.
I'm still down.
That'd be sick.
They want to bring me back. I'll still go for it. I'd love to win another one.
Amazing, dude.
I still feel like I could get down to business.
I feel like then you really like adopted this idea of like vertical height. And you were kind of one of the pioneers in quarter pipe as well. I feel like one of the early adopters of that.
Oh yeah, I guess we kind of skipped past some of those parts of the career, but Jay Schweitzer and Doug Parsons put on this quarter pipe challenge thing where they etched one into the side of the hill, and that inspired Red Bull to actually do my Santa Monica Red Bull experiment thing. I just naturally, the way I whipped and the way I like vertical stuff just naturally worked well for me on that. So not a huge story to tell. It was just something I was really comfortable with doing, and I knew it stood out and was extraordinary to people's eyes, and it was within my talent wheelhouse to where it was no big deal. Obviously, I'm not going to undersell it. I still had to sack up and just wring the neck out of second gear on my bike and see how high I would go with throw caution to the wind, but
kind of a natural fit for you though, being someone who's like really good at like whipping. You're obviously not afraid to go high, and like even with step up you would like lay it flat, so like
yeah,
it makes sense that you'd be kind of one of the early pioneers with quarter pipe. Is it insane to you to see like the level that they've taken it?
Oh, it's insane, and my hat's off all the way. You know, I'll put it as an offering table to help me live and survive with some extra money, because I'm not going to go that route to get paid. You know what I mean? Like the way they're having to go so like straight up and down now, the dynamics of that are really challenging, because you stall out, and a couple people have, and like you have no forward momentum when you land. So like you splat.
Dude,
So
it's so
yeah,
scary.
I'm not trying to get into that contest. I told them, they asked me when they first started doing it again, I believe it was 15 or 16, would you be down? I'm like, yeah, if the landing's bigger than the takeoff and it's so wide. But I saw like the draft of it or something. I was like, nah. I told myself I'm not going to allow myself, like when I did the record stuff back in the day, I did 2 years of it. I went 58 and then I believe 63 feet in Chicago. I was like,
That's so high.
I'm not going to enter a pissing contest with people. If I see an opportunity, I'm not going to pass up if I feel comfortable with it, but going straight to a contest, which is a pissing contest, especially with a crappy landing and stuff, I'm not going to set myself up like that. I had to, yeah, of course, like the ego's sitting there like, oh, if you went, you'd give them a run for the money. But yeah, I'm not at all going to try to claim that I could go beat those guys right now. I mean, there's a part of me that knows skills and balls wise that I have that dog in me to do it, but I don't think that dog needs to come out anymore.
I think that's wise, dude. I don't think you have anything left to prove. Like, you've done it.
Yeah.
What stands out to you about this latest generation of riders?
The amount of bike skill I'm seeing with guys, and the creativity. It's cool. Like I gotta take my hat off to Axel. Probably first and foremost of how damn agile that kid is on a bike and creative, and the video pieces they're putting out. Josh Hill,
He's sick,
so
dude.
talented and just really embodying the free ride spirit of just doing what he wants, when he wants, and he makes it work. Barrowman, utilizing the Red Bull sponsorship and good friends, like, him and Baker going out there and building things and doing things that still has a lot of risk attached to it and gets to showcase his skills. Raha, same thing, his own punk rock, unique style. Man, same thing. You don't want to leave people out because there's so many bad dudes doing it. Nick, Thomas like with his own,
He's on the up and up.
his own feel to it all. And even Carson Brown, man, he's not a freestyler, but he's kind of free riding. He's out there just
carving his own
freaking
path.
shredding.
Yeah.
Anything from a scooter to a XR 200, it's
Insane.
like fascinating to watch. And I like it because I know these guys and I know who's authentic and I know who's not. And pretty much everybody I mentioned right there are very authentic people. So I got a lot of respect for that.
I feel like with, you're talking a lot about like style. And I think that's something that like really made you stand out during your time. You had a very unique style, whether it was the Renner whip or like just being super stylish with step up, or like we said, with quarter pipe. It makes sense that like just the combination of like your ability with style and like you mentioned earlier, like being the first guy to like jump these jumps that day when you're riding with all the pros, and just like your specific skill set, it seems like free ride was kind of a natural transition for you to like start focusing on this world of free riding.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I guess if I had to really look back and say what was my goal, number one, the way the sport's shaped up, it was hard to set goals. Like you're working year-to-year contracts. The competitions weren't even a thing. New series come in, new events, Red Bull X Fighters, all these things. It was hard to like have this laid out plan. Like a kid right now can be like, yeah, I want to be a supercross champion. That's a pretty tentative plan right there. You go through the ranks, you go to the 250, you go to the 450, you go moto, supercross, SMX.
You're just trying to figure it out one year to the next.
Yeah, we're just winging it, man. I'm just going to have fun and ride. And as I got going, I will say that I think I said it in one of the On the Pipe movies and like our little interviews we do, like I want to be known as one of the best dirt bike riders in the world. But that doesn't mean I want to be the fastest man on the planet or the GOAT or this. No, I just want to carry my own as, I don't want to even say one of the greats or something like that, but one of the memorable people to do it. You know what I mean? And have my own unique style and flair, and there's always going to be somebody better and bigger. And there's no ego attached to that. I hope it doesn't sound egotistical to have that comment, but to be known, and then when you're around those people, when you meet McGrath at somewhere, it's like, I guess those things solidified that like I was known by other badass riders to be a badass in my own realm, and that was about as fulfilling as it could get.
Yeah, there's nothing better than getting the respect from the people that you respect, right?
Some of the freestyle guys, they love to hate me a little because I also knew how to be an entertainer and find my own mark with the whole "Who's your daddy" thing and like drop the bike, do the dance. And I will call out Bubba right now. I don't know if he knew it, but he snaked some of my dance moves once he started doing that. Drop his bike, do the worm, do the sprinkler. I was doing that for like 2 years before.
No way.
At the IFMA contest. And it's funny because all the riders hated it because you'd go to the autograph line. I'd get 5th place in the contest tonight. And then to be like, who's your daddy? Where's the dancer? And like all the chill freestyle guys that were like kind of quiet and just like wanted to ride freestyle and do their thing, they couldn't stand it that I got more attention to them. But I knew how to play the game a little bit with that. So, but I also didn't want to be known as just a gambit or something like that. Somebody who's doing a little carny trick. I wanted to be a good rider as well. So none of those riders could really deny that. And I think now to this day, if I had to put words in, like if my name came up to Deegan or somebody, even though they couldn't stand that I was the dancing guy, or I know they hated it if I'd beat them at contests. That wouldn't happen all the time, and I don't have any like great memorable. Twitch would be a good example. We're good friends. Like, don't skip a beat when we see each other. But at Gravity Games, I won the best trick contest with a whip when he did a backflip whip no footer, and it just drives him crazy that I don't know that something like that would get him. But to know,
hey, that's pretty cool to win best trick with a whip.
Yeah,
I think that's badass.
To know that those people that love to hate me still respect me as a rider and stuff, that's about all I need, I think. Yeah. It's like, yeah, it's good enough for me.
So then you kind of had this phase, I feel like, where you did a lot of natural terrain riding, like obviously like free ride, but like specifically like natural terrain.
I can tell you exactly how that came about, to be honest. Besides having a desire, your bandwidth's only so. When I'm focused on freestyle and moving out there and going to the contest, of course, I wasn't able to every day of my life be on a bike. I had kids and stuff like that, so my time was limited, and you're just practicing new tricks on the ramps. So it didn't really click to me that here I am in Southern California. Yeah, I rode Beaumont, like I said at the beginning. We'd go there every once in a while, but I didn't really think about going to Glamis and Ocotillo and how close those things were because I was busy pretty much every weekend and, just meeting people. So it wasn't until like 04, 05, 4 or 5 years after I moved out there that I started going to all those places. I think with Andy Bell and the OGO crew, another person in my life that created a lot of opportunities for me as a great friend and travel buddy was Andy Bell. He was one of the original freestyle dudes from Canada, marched to the beat of his own drum. He became like really tight with the OGO people, which still is cool to this day to see OGO being such a presence in the motocross world. And he was tight with Godfrey and Pastrana and the whole Nitro Circus thing, which tied us all together to do extraordinary things and fun trips. And like, it's iconic. I don't know what the word is, but we were definitely just winging it. We were just totally winging it. It all showed in those videos and stuff, just having fun. And Andy was one of those guys that really liked me and believed in me and helped create a lot of opportunities with that stuff. I got a little lost in my thoughts there.
But what is it about natural terrain riding that you love so much?
Yeah, I told you. I'll tell you exactly how to get there. I was all confident with that answer. So it wasn't, like I said, until 04, 05, I really started being like, oh man, I'm kind of good at this natural terrain. I like it. And that's the key ingredient. I loved being out there. I was 30 something years old or getting into my 30s and like a kid in a candy store. It was all like new to me. I felt like a 12-year-old out there riding, and I still do to this day. I think it's because I didn't grow up around all of it, and all I had was like Croom here. So now you got this crazy template to work with. It's this
like blank canvas,
and like even my style of finding and hitting jumps. It's like I don't like doing the stuff everybody else is doing. I go look at new and different things, and it worked really well for me for a lot of years. So 2006, the flip levers and all that came out. And I was actually training with Pastrana. Travis told me, and another guy that was just, I can't call him a mentor. He's younger than me, but like obviously I respected and looked up to him as far as,
well, at that time he was the guy.
not a hero, but he was definitely somebody I respected and looked up to a lot at how he did things and his riding. And his generosity is just such a good dude, like having everybody at his house all the time and invited me to come out. He had a loaner bike that it was like basically mine to ride. It's like, Renner, if you just come out, ride the foam pit with me, get a couple combinations. He goes, you'll probably beat me in the contest. Like your right side up tricks, your whips are so good. And he meant it. And I like, that's flattering as well. And to invite me to his house to actually try to train me to beat him was kind of wild, but he's in the meantime doing the double backflip in the pit every day. And here we are like sweating our butts off. It was, and I bring this up with my transition to free ride because I was not having fun. I hated just doing backflips alone out in the woods, let alone doing combinations. And here I am trying like a Cordova backflip into the pit or a lazy boy flip and under rotate. And I fly off the bike. This one time I flew in head first somehow. My helmet strap's choking me out. And because of the way I went in, everybody jumped on top of me trying to look for me. They didn't realize I went in so far. So I'm not getting my back jumped on. I feel like my back's broken. I'm getting choked out. I'm thinking I'm going to die in the foam pit. And I just get out like, F this. I hate this trap. This is not what I signed up for. I don't want to do it. It's not like I don't have some grit, but I don't like this shit. Meantime, Travis is doing double flips, which I did vow I will never, ever, if I don't like doing a single flip, I definitely ain't going to like doing double flips. I don't care how much money is attached to it or anything.
But also like you're taking like this insane risk with the tricks you're already doing and you're watching him do something that's just going to make this irrelevant anyways.
And they had the flip levers and they're doing kiss of death flips and all these things. I'm like, I don't have a desire to learn that stuff. And I had just been, Red Bull had the like ride to the hills contest and I was filming with On the Pipe with Jay Schweitzer, another dude that like took me in that like we did a lot of rad stuff together. And he'd, always believe in me for a part. He'd be hitting me up. That's how we operated back in them days. The filmers and photographers looked us up in the magazines. I didn't have to go make my own content. It was like this well-oiled machine of everybody scratching backs and looking out for each other. And then you add Red Bull in the mix and sponsors needing stuff, having their guys like Garth Milan. Like, dude, it was such an easier time to do what I did.
And having the, like, I feel like probably being part of like On the Pipe, it brings you back to what you fell in love with like first Krusty movie, right? It's like brings you back to the roots of like this thing that attracted you to this world in the first place.
Right, and then I had my opportunity to make a video part. That was your goal. It's like now you make an Instagram. You need to make an Instagram edit every single day of your life or a reel or something. But back then you had one shot to go to like Danimals or Jackpot Ranch and actually express yourself with a not digital camera, film camera that costs, every time you miss a shot, it costs the guy $100 to develop.
And a helicopter you're paying for to fly around.
Helicopter, this and that. So man, it was an awesome time to be alive where I saw everybody chasing that freestyle carrot, doing things I didn't want to do. And like I said, I never wanted to be like everybody else. And I had no desire to keep going the freestyle route, even though I had the Red Bull sponsor. Funny enough, the best wins of my career were in 2005, Red Bull X Fighters, Mexico, Gravity Games. Like, I wasn't even a Red Bull athlete yet. I got the Red Bull deal in 2007 when I started investing in myself and doing more free ride stuff because of like the Red Bull On the Pipe stuff. On the Pipe, Red Bull Ride to the Hills, and that quarter pipe thing. Stunt Junkies on Discovery Channel came at us with the opportunity to break Plowers step up record. Next thing you know, and then we had the ideas of the quarter pipe where I'm like, dude, I'm doing my own thing without having to go risk my butt every day. I'm going to go ride the hills while everybody else is chasing the ramp kick. It made my step up game better where I won in 2007.
Probably enjoyed it a lot more just in general.
2008, Carmichael got me. 2009, I tied him. 10 was close. 11 was close. 12 won. And I owe all of that confidence and success with step up because I was free riding and loving every second of it. Like bought my moat when I won X Fighters in 2005 and Gravity Games. Before that, I went and bought a motorhome actually hit the road, do my own little journeys of free riding and this and that. So it's like my own version of investing in myself. So yeah, it all just flowed and worked out pretty well. And then, Red Bull, GoPro, they started investing in me to do my free ride tour and stuff like that, which is where, you got the shot to bring out people like Tom, to carve their own path. Like it's a cool story to look back on.
It's like yet another situation in your life where like things maybe didn't go according to plan. Like when the backflip and double backflip started happening, you're probably at first like a little bummed because you're like, I don't want to go in this direction, but it kind of led you down your true passion for riding. It's just like, moving to California, the circumstances really sucked, but then it like led you to this industry, it's so weird how like sometimes things happen in a way where you don't want it to work that way, but it's like the best thing that could have happened.
Everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face. I don't know that I was punched in the face, but I got punched in the face with reality that if I wanted to have this all of a sudden career be sustainable like a businessman, I was supposed to go the freestyle route and just, fall in line with trying to win competitions for the next 5 or 10 years or whatever. And like that,
then it gets to a point if like, I want to keep doing this and survive.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be doing double backflips.
Constantly had to just keep doing things different. I'm not going to tell people I'm the most creative person or this or that. I just literally went with my gut and my intuition to do what felt right.
There is an element of creativity with free ride that's really cool. And like you said earlier, the blank canvas that is like the landscape that is your playground. What's your favorite few like natural jumps that you've found?
Because I might end up forgetting this, and like I probably couldn't give credit to any more company in the world than Red Bull for believing in me around that time. You know what I mean? It's not a shameless plug or anything, because that was still back in their era of doing things differently, and like it was such an honor to be an athlete and all that stuff. But for them to believe in me and let me do what I wanted, and
what an opportunity,
make things happen, dude, that's awesome. But the Great Ride Open TV show on Fuel was like a pretty big thing for free ride, freestyle. It was about as mainstream as we could get as far as a series thing. So Dirk Collins and Jeff Tilton, another guy that believed in me as a buddy and like somebody that we could do rad stuff together. He made a lot of those things happen back in the day, where the Great Ride Open and Dane Herron was a free ride guy that was buddies with Tilton and Clowers, who became the Red Bull sports marketing 2-wheel guy. So he took the initiative to push more into free riding. So if all those things didn't come together, who knows what opportunities might not have happened. And there's probably some names in there that I would miss, and I'm sorry if I miss them, but I always like to try to give credit to those that are responsible for my career, because I'm just so happy with it.
Before Aero was a helmet brand, it was a belief. In 1986, a craftsman named Antonio Locatelli started building helmets out of a small factory in Bergamo, Italy. For over a decade, he honed his craft in silence, learning everything there was to know about helmet safety and technology. Then in 1997, he created the brand Aero, and he built it around one idea: that every rider deserves a champion's helmet. Not a watered-down consumer version of it, the exact same helmet worn by champions on race day, with over 160 world titles, is the same one you can buy today. One helmet, one standard. That's not just a marketing line, it's a philosophy. Safety before anything else. Whether you ride on the dirt or the street, you can find your next helmet at aerousa.com. Think about the long list of names along the way that, like, if like they all weren't there in that time, like the dream wouldn't have worked out the same way. Isn't it crazy?
Not at all. I mean, you want to have that self-confidence that, yeah, I would have made it happen, but I don't know. I honestly don't know sometimes if things would have happened without those right people.
Yeah, so, well, there's two ingredients, there's having the talent, but there's also the opportunity. So like
timelines are a weird thing, dude. And crossing paths with humans that are like-minded and passionate, it's wild. And there's a lot of that going on in our sports for sure, especially freestyle and free ride. am grateful to say that I was a part of that because it's so unpredictable and ambiguous compared to like racing. Like
Yeah.
it was a lot of winging it going on and a lot of uncharted territory. So that stuff's cool.
Yeah, your favorite, like your favorite natural terrain jumps, because I have two in mind.
Sorry.
That,
See, I got sidetracked again.
but
Man,
I kind of sidetracked you. But I have a few in mind that are my favorite that you've done. But I'd love to like hear from your experience which ones stand out to you.
I guess that's why I backtracked there and talked about the Great Ride Open because that just took us all over the place. And I guess it wasn't until the end of the Great Ride Open, our last stop basically was in Green River, Utah, and there's a jump called the Thumb.
Yeah, dude.
That I did not make this jump, so I never want to take any credit from like Metzger and Highland back in Metz's movie from like 2000 or 01 called Metztopia, where they were just hitting this wild spine looking thing and somehow figured out where it was at. I think Godfrey knew where it was, and I'd went there like the year before and I jumped it, but it wasn't whipped, it wasn't pretty, it was, I think I might have cased it a little, it wasn't nothing to really write home about. I don't even know what video it was for, if it even made a cut. But we're like, for Great Ride Open, like, we're we go to Caneville and we're gonna hit Green River on the way out. I'm like, oh, I know what jump I'm doing for sure. It's go time, show time. And Flowers, it turned into like a little competition out there. Like we definitely, that if anybody's watched that series, we were talking shit with each other, almost a couple arguments and fights, me biting, Flowers getting lippy, like who's the king of Ocotillo kind of thing. And I will say it was kind of a breakthrough for me where I could stand out and show my love for like free ride and riding and also mix like a small intensity to it. But I got there and like, it's time to freaking step up, and Flowers had hit some big old booter on the other side. And I could literally see him flying across the desert. And I'm like, I gotta like kind of like try to top that for some reason.
Totally.
And yeah, it just kind of, I think, was a good stamp on that series, a good way to end it, that they use that clip,
so iconic,
the intro, everything. Yeah, things. I want it to be iconic for Metzger because he found it and went for it first, probably, or maybe Highland might have went first. I don't really know the story behind it, but it's still a jump that not many people go and do, which holds its test of time. And then you'll probably say the Renner double in Ocotillo.
Before we move on from that, like what makes that jump so, like, why don't many people do it? Is it just really scary?
If you go and see that jump, you'll see really quick why nobody does it, because majority of people won't ride up it. It's hard to ride up it and make it to the top. It's that vertical. Like it looks like it'll kick you back. And then it's literally only probably 20 foot in distance, but you go about 30 feet high off the lip, and it's already about probably a 40-foot high lip.
That's like a literal spine.
Yeah, I've never measured it. And you can only pace it out so far. Once you start committing to getting your bike up there, it feels like you're going to loop out. It feels like you're really out of control.
When you're going so high, you can't even like test jump it halfway.
That's the saying. You can test jump it so much, and it feels so awkward that you're like, I don't know. And like finally you just have to commit. And I know myself, Parsons, I think Josh Hill, are some of the only ones that have done it recently. And it keeps getting cupped out more and more. Weather just keeps eroding, and you can't really shovel it. So
can you imagine being Metzger and those guys going out there for the first time and just being on those older bikes too?
Yeah.
And like being like, oh, I'm going to jump that.
Yeah. I'd like to see, I mean, I don't want to discredit. I know for sure they didn't have to go as far. They were like kind of more hipping to the left.
Okay.
Now there's like a quad, like
you kind of tabletopped over the whole thing.
Yeah. From people side by side in it and quads. Now you can't really go to the left. So you have to go
all the way
over the thing.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Not taking any shine off of them because they were still. I had to watch the video. I'm like, dude, they were still going big on it. So I'm not like.
But it was a slightly different.
Yeah, there's no competition element to it. So, yeah, the pioneer stuff like it. But I know the feeling. I've got so many jumps in Caneville, this and that I know I made and hit first and put lines into it. And I think Tom's probably the best example of somebody that's capitalized on all those and like goes and. Little bastard makes him even more styled out than I used to. So good for him though, man.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's cool. And I really like talking about it because I know Tom always gives me so much credit on his career, and he's a sick rider, so he doesn't need to give me any credit. And it's cool to be a part of his story, And
well, it's just like, all these people in your life that you've we talked about this earlier, that have given you opportunities and encouragement. Like, it's cool to have the opportunity to do that for someone else.
Yep. Yep. And then you'll probably bring up the Renner double in Ocotillo. That's, if I had to think of one it's there. Everybody sees it when they ride by. It's pretty awesome to have my name attached to it. It was just one of those jumps where
it's another one you look at and you're like, dude, there's no way.
that looks like a, you know how like when you're driving on the side of the road, and I think all motocross guys do it. You're like, there's like a mountain ridge. And you're like, rop, I could see like there's a double. Look at the angles are perfect.
Yeah.
That's kind of a smaller version of that. You'll like be driving out the camp or riding through to go ride session a spot. And you're like, that's like a giant size double. And I'm like, it's actually doable without, I think if my timing was good, it would be not too much of a risk, you know? And I go, whenever the timing's right, time and a place thing, maybe I'll step it. I'm not just going to come out here one weekend to get a Instagram clip. And I was filming for Real Moto in 05, and there was a really sick jump that we had done at the Freeride Tour right by it. And that was just one of the things on my shot list that I wanted to put into my 1.5-minute edit, and had my little crew. We're literally driving out there to park and like set up camp. And we're like, you know, I wanted to get the right shot on the thing. So it wasn't a stop in for 10 minutes and get the shot. We set up every shot pretty well. I had my ambulance and I'm driving through that. I drove right through the middle of the Renner double. And I'm like, hold on a second. I always said when there's the right time and place, I'm going to freaking jump this jump. Now's that time.
What's a better time than now?
So I scratched doing the other jump and said, all right, I'm doing this thing. So called my buddy Jim, Helly Jim up, another pivotal friend in my career, his career's kicked ass ever since he met and was the filmer on Great Ride Open in his helicopter. Now he's like the guy that flies everybody out there. Well, he dropped everything he's doing, came out with a drone, called our buddy Chris Resnick, who's a medic. They all just came out and hung out for the day. And Hagelstein, who's one of my best buds, another pivotal guy in my career we've made just rad stuff happen together. And he's now has this wicked filmer career.
How do you even you work up to a jump like that? Because you can't, like another one, you can't go halfway.
There's no test jumps on that one. You just kind of,
you have to trust in your ability to judge speed and
100% go by feel. I think I have the ability to close my eyes and really know what gear I need to be in, what it feels like. So
you roll over it a few times and just, you can kind of like get a feel for like how the distance looks and like visualize it first. And
totally. I mean, you go as far as you can without stomping on it. And I always know that when I stomp on it, I got the confidence of what my bike's going to do. So that's about it.
And then that first time, you just hope you get it right.
Yep.
There's like no room for error.
Greased it.
Sick, dude.
Can't say that happens every time, but the majority of the time I've got pretty good timing. So
yeah.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, dude, that jump is so iconic. One of my buddies, his name's Aaron McClintock. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's just like he's a dude.
Ascender.
Yeah, he lives in Colorado. He just grew up racing with him.
Yep.
He just rides for fun, but like, yeah, he did a film out there and like got some really cool shots on that Renner double.
Wait.
Yeah. That's cool.
I've seen those shots. It's cool because they all like hashtag me to it and put Renner double, and it's like the way they call it. So unfortunately, there's a lot of crash footage from that thing too. So I feel like, oh shit, hope it's not a liability that my name's attached to it. But
yeah.
This day they'll find any way to sue you. So
that'd be insane.
Yeah, Danny Mares was hitting it recently as a Cowie like test rider and mechanic and a really good free ride kid. He was like tagging me in it in the videos, and like a day later he ate crap on it, and I'm like, oh, it's really sad.
Funny how something like that, like nobody jumps it, and then all of a sudden once somebody shows that it's possible, then suddenly like tons of people are jumping it.
I'm surprised nobody's backflipped it yet, which it's probably just a matter of time. I thought about it. I was like, if I'm gonna step up my game anywhere, it's like one of those things I could visualize it, but it's just not my thing. So I don't want to put the carriage before the horse or get too cocky. Now people are like, you should jump your adventure bike. No, that ain't happening, dude. There's no room for error on that adventure bike. That's 400 pounds of,
that'd be so scary.
Bad bounce.
Have you, Paul Torres, the French dude? Or no, he's from Spain. He rides adventure bikes.
Yeah. He's amazing.
Sick, dude.
That's a great example of me knowing my place and where to stay in my lane. Is like, I'm in a position with CF Moto where I'm expected and I want to do cool stuff on my adventure bike. But there's guys like Paul Terrace, who's like the
next
Travis
level.
Pastrana
Yeah.
freestyle. Like you aren't, that guy is built to do what he's doing. He
Insane.
throws that bike around like it's a toy. And I am not going to try to get in a pissing contest with that dude.
Yeah, it's impressive. He rides an adventure bike like a child's bike. It's crazy.
You just made me think of something. I'll backtrack a little to the night that I broke the record at Step Up, and you're saying like it's crazy how people come out of the woodwork. Well, what I noticed, there would always be people like big names that would be watching and what kind of like want a piece. They're like, I think I could do that. Taddy Blazuziak was a friend of mine, still a friend of mine. He's you know, trials rider, one of the enduro cross legends, Ayresburg guy, still out there getting after it. He was in this mindset that he was wanted to do Step Up, and he like I would come back from my last jump and see him like sitting there studying, and I like remember in the back of my mind, I'm like, I knew that night was going to go really big, and I guarantee you, Taddy's going to leave tonight thinking twice about doing this shit.
He's like, actually, I'm good.
Yeah, he never ended up signing up for one.
Yeah, I don't blame him. So like we talked about like all these different moments in your career. They were either challenges or like shifts or changes, and you know, almost taking it like year to year, day by day, because you never know what's coming next. But what's been the secret to staying involved with this thing that you love for so long?
Honestly, if I had to give a secret, it would be that I have a lot of different interests in life. Like I like the mountain bike. I like the surf. I don't have any like dedicated hobbies. Everything has a moto foundation. I say moto everything, like almost free ride everything. Everything I'm bropping, right? Jet boats, jet skis. I'm a father of 4. So I've always been involved as much as I can with each of my kids. Taking them to do things like my oldest son, Nate, is into mountain biking, like high level, was almost a Red Bull Rampage level rider, where I would take him to Whistler and stuff like that. And at one point, meeting all the hot shots in that realm, where I almost thought about giving Rampage or something a shot, but I realized I probably would have died trying that. So left that one to my kid, and he broke his back doing it. So, sidetrack there, but you know, it's just a testament that all these sports are gnarly. You just don't hop in and become a freaking Red Bull Rampage rider. A lot of risk. Same thing, jet skis, even adventure bikes. You don't just become Paul Terrace because I got some skills. You know what I mean? So I feel like I'm humble enough with enough humility that you just don't have to be the guy at every sport you do. I'll suck at things. Like I look like an idiot trying to ride a hydrofoil. I can't figure out the dynamics on those things, but I'll try it. You know what I mean? I'll go mountain biking. I'll go jet boating, fishing. Sorry. I mean, I have a lust for life that it's not all about moto. So I spread myself out to where I'm really happy when I get back on the bike.
Yeah. So like a key to longevity is like having interests other than moto so that you don't get burnt out.
Yeah. Like
makes sense.
Like cross training and stuff. Like when I won Loretta's a few years ago, I knew I needed to be in good shape was the number one thing. I figure if my setup's decent and my skills are there and I'm getting enough seat time, I should be fine. But I don't want to be burned out on riding my motorcycle. So I made sure to only ride so many days, and I went mountain biking a lot and even cycling a little bit, and just would do different things to stay active and fit. Well, that's the best example. I mean, if it's a long-term testament, it's just the fact that I don't obsess over things too much. You know, I call my thing the loose program. Tilton actually gave me that name because I've always been on a loose program.
Dude, I saw that pulling in. You have a trailer and I think on the side it says loose program, which is hilarious.
That's just been me. Like I'm always late for camp or late for something or running squirrely. I'll blame it on my kids. You know, I mean, when you're a dad of 4, you're spread pretty thin as it is, and trying to run a career and
something to do with like just being present in the moment as well. Maybe not like stressing everything, like not living in the future.
I'm just winging it, man. I like the saying flying by the seat of my pants. You know, you got to have some structure. You got to be organized. You got to be efficient. You're not going to get hired for gigs if you don't show up or something. I might be late. I might have pulled an all-nighter. You know, I've had contests where I show up in Europe without sleeping and straight onto a dirt bike. You know what I mean? Like, but I I've been pretty consistent. I've been pretty healthy for a long time. Knock on wood.
And like you said earlier, not letting the ego get the best of you to where you get injured, like knowing your limits, and even if you want to prove something, knowing like when to say enough is enough.
Right.
Right.
Totally. That's like just detaching your ego from stuff. And I laugh, and I will toot my horn a little bit. It's a good thing. Because a lot of people come back after injuries and they got a fire inside because they sat around and were hungry for so long. I've never been out for that long, to have that. So I guess I am, it makes me proud to say that like, I still do have a fire inside, and I'm like, still passionate about it all, when I never really had those big breaks. You know what I mean? Like, maybe it just comes with the gratitude and realization of that I am fortunate and blessed to do it. So I don't know.
I feel like you really prioritize like freedom and quality of life, and like being able to live a life doing the things that you enjoy doing.
Oh,
Like,
freedom.
what's been the hardest thing about avoiding the 9 to 5 and like sustaining the dream? Because it's like it would, yeah, you have to get creative on how to keep making it work. Like, what's the hardest part about just keeping the dream alive?
Well, freedom's everything. If that's the number one goal but you have to pay for your freedom. I mean, that's just the way it is. So you have to it's a balancing act. Um,
You can have
I,
like freedom or security,
I,
and then it's like balancing those two things.
I would rather chase the freedom and make my own security, I guess, and hope for the best a little bit. I don't know. There's so much to it. It's a lot of hard work that goes unseen. Not living a pretentious life. Like, I would say having my values and my priorities in the right spot, where I'm not trying to keep up with the Joneses. Or I'll use this reference. I say my fanciest car is a Mercedes. Yeah, Sprinter with a cracked windshield, 100,000 miles, and every light on the dash. That's my flex right there. Okay. If you look around my lot here, yeah, I got a lot of toys, this and that, but that stuff's all replaceable. If it burned down right now, I'd be sad about it, but I ain't gonna lose any sleep. You know, if it's meant to be, it might be a blessing in disguise. But my identity does not lay within material things, but all the material things I have, I can enjoy with my family, or enjoy and have fun and live life, because life is made to be lived.
Has there ever been a moment, like, because you've been doing this for several decades now, throughout that time, has there ever been like oh man, I don't know, like, if this is gonna work next year, you know?
Every year,
Yeah.
man. I'm year to year contracts are hard. I've had a few years of security with 3-year deals. And I swear I'm way more efficient when that happens, because you know that you don't feel rushed on things, and you can actually plan out things a little better and get the timing with weather and locations right. But it's really hard to get companies on board with that. You know, they're kind of looking for the next best thing to come along, and here I am. You know, I guess that's a secret to some of my success and longevity, is that I don't take it for granted, and I know there's always some little punk kids that would love to have my job.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they ain't getting it out of my cold, dead hands.
Totally. So, when did you come back to Florida? What inspired the move back home?
I always knew I wanted to move back to Florida, be close to family as my parents got older, and just, I think that's a responsible cycle of life to do. And, you know, it's just in your blood. And I have a love-hate relationship with California. I do love the West Coast for the most part. I feel very comfortable there, but I also know I value family. I got a great family that was there for me and helped shape me into who I am. So I want to be there for them when they need me. And then my soon-to-be ex-wife, we have 2 kids together. Her family's from here. So we'd always knew we were going to end up back here. It just expedited a little quicker by way of relationship issues. And I found this property, to be honest.
You would never be able to get a property like this in California.
I just started getting a little fearful that I wasn't going to be able to afford what I would need to do to have my dream property in Florida. Because what they're doing now with all these training facilities are multi-million-dollar projects. And I knew I needed something that I was satisfied with, but it needed to be unique because of my love for free riding and elevation changes and all that. I knew Florida had all these quarry pits.
Very much a one-of-a-kind property out here.
Yeah, it's a whole crazy sequence of events how I ended up with it. But once I saw it and saw what it was about, saw the location, I'm like, dude, it's time to go.
What are some lessons that you would like to give to like you even talked about like wanting to like coach younger kids. What are some like lessons for kids coming up today that you've learned along the way? Like, what do you see that the next generation's doing right, and maybe like things that they could do differently?
I don't know if that's a loaded question, but there's a lot to that. I do think the physical, and I'm very hypocritical in the statement, but the physical side to it, the exercising and the working out and the consistency and dedication to that's pretty damn important. I know every time that I worked out a decent amount, 2 or 3 week span of consistency, I felt like my bike was a play toy.
Makes a difference.
Yeah. Oh God. I slapped myself. If I had any regrets, if I was going to go live my life like that, I would have definitely worked out better. Maybe would have ate better, had better discipline. Really, I guess
all the off the bike things.
I had discipline as far as like not chasing girls. I didn't party. I never touched alcohol. I was 22 years old the first time I ever drank alcohol. Like I had a really good discipline with a lot of things in life when everybody else in high school and all that, I think everybody's story is about the same. The majority of the people are partying and getting into stuff that aren't healthy for being an athlete. So I had good discipline on a lot of levels, but still not enough to be a good pro racer. And it's surrounding yourself with the right people, taking advantage of all the technology. Now you can watch video. Like I had to put a VCR tape in and watch like Moto World or something like that, or some recorded off ESPN races, you know what I mean? Or motocross movies to even think about. I don't know. I don't think I studied technique or anything like that. I was just, So just the dedication and the work ethic's probably the number one thing.
Sounds like you rode a lot, but like if there's any missing puzzle pieces, it would have been like the training off the bike.
Oh, we didn't have training facilities or anything even like that. You know, some people like had practice tracks, but I literally rode once a week. I didn't ride a lot. When I did, I didn't have like I don't know, I'd probably say I'm going to do a 20-minute moto or whatever, but it was very, very lackluster. And next thing you know, I'm off jumping the jump sideways to make like a double and like thinking I'm Kevin Windham or something like that, doing transfers before. I mean, that was before he was doing it, but like I was out there play riding more than and that's
kind of more practice for what you do anyways.
Well, in retrospect, that is what made me who I am. Like that was the things that I authentically like to do, and it stood out. So yeah, not everybody's going to be a free rider. But it's funny. I can go to the track right now and I can see the kids that are probably going to end up being more of a free rider, but they're still trying to chase the racing because that's like the only opportunity to get support. Like, yeah, that kid will probably be a free rider one day. I don't know what they do with it. You know, you see quite a few of them now that are really good at whips and stuff, and they'll get a show doing a couple tricks and a couple whips. But I don't know how these kids are making money. I don't know if mom and dad are sending them money or how, but I don't imagine the sponsors are paying much.
Yeah.
So you still got to go race.
Yeah. And then 99% of those people eventually will you have to get a job anyways. So you're pretty, I mean, it's pretty cool. You've been able to make it work for so long. What do you feel like you're chasing now? Like with riding, is it the feeling like all these years later, you still ride dirt bikes?
I mean, I'll give you the best example I can right now, Ben. I'm going, after we're done with this podcast, I'm loading my bike and I'm going to Dade City Raceway to Randy's Tuesday night riding clinic. It's like he has like an advanced riding clinic, and he busts my balls more than anybody there because he gets a kick out of it that I'm the superstar that he gets to pick on or whatever you want to. I'm not super, you know what I'm saying? He likes to phrase it that way. And I'm always wanting to learn and do better and be better on my bike. And I'm definitely aiming towards next year when I turn 50 in June to go to Loretta's 27, a fresh 50. Um, I do love riding the track. There's something about motocross that I still think is the purest form of, um, I don't know if it's the purest form. It's the most enticing form of, because everything to me when it comes to intensity compares to a 40 rider gate drop. I don't think there's anything in life that's more intense than that. Nothing I've experienced. Like I said, maybe jumping out of a plane with no parachute. That's why Travis probably did that. But like, it's pretty heavy. I don't care what class you're in, even. It's gnarly. Um, and just all the effort that goes in, and you measure success with the effort you put in. You can't deny that. Talent's only going to get you so far at the motocross race, especially a long one like 3 motos at Loretta Lynn's. You know what I mean? So that's inspiring. But I guess in my current days, I'm representing a few brands. I got CF Moto, Thor, Maxxis, a laundry list of product sponsors that I couldn't do any of this stuff without. So I guess just the fact that I still have those opportunities to do that and I'm having fun with it. The CF Moto thing brings some really cool challenges. I'm going and doing performance driving for them for their product launches, and feel very appreciated with that stuff and like a piece to a really cool team. Same with Thor, I'm doing a lot of stuff with their adventure line of bikes. I'm going to these adventure bike rallies with Moscow Moto. I've found myself as an ambassador to a few brands where I'm able to be unique and myself and still having fun riding my bike.
Is it like, do you still get that same enjoyment on the bike and same feeling that you've always had? Or is it now more, this kind of like almost like a business to keep the dream alive?
I'll put it this way. At 48 years old, the hardest thing I have is hopping on my bike and going slow. I don't like getting on my bike and just cruising. Like, I can appreciate a trail ride. I think there's a time and a place. Like, I like all forms of riding. It doesn't matter if it's single track or hare scrambles. I'll pretty much, I've raced Ayresburg before. I didn't mention that. Like, we used to go there to do the freestyle show, and I finished Ayresburg one time. So I know that I'm like a confident, well-rounded rider. I'm not going to go try to win Ayresburg. Finishing every once in a while, finishing something is an accomplishment in itself. But
that race to finish is insane.
I still hop on my bike, and I want to be the best version of myself, because that brings out the highest excitement in me. And I think that's how you should live life, is go whatever the highest excitement is, as long as you're not negatively affecting somebody else's life.
That's cool. In your mind, what makes a rider truly great?
I'm going to burn this word out, but authenticity. When somebody, not everybody's going to be in the memory books and the history books, you know what I mean?
Very few.
But there's always, it's better just to use examples like a lot of people I've already mentioned, Bob Hanna's and Jeff Ward's and Jeremy McGrath's, Jeff Emmigs, and you never want to leave any out. Ricky Carmichael, the fastest man on the planet, James Stewart, like everybody. You mentioned those guys, and then you think of somebody like Ryan Dungey, who is another big name that you can't leave out, but he was the less flashy, less spectacular of any of them. But that's what made him him. You know what I mean? Like, he was very authentically
himself,
a good Midwestern dude that grinded and worked harder than everybody else to get the results.
Yeah, he was like the all-American kid.
Yeah, it's hard not to be long-winded with that question. I wish there was a one word and you could say authenticity, but it's I'm gonna burn that word out.
It's kind of like, it is authenticity. It's like being true to yourself.
Yeah, being outspoken. Like, I used to almost say that I'd pride myself a little bit on being outspoken. It's gotten me in a couple pickles because I realized loose lips can sink ships. Not everybody wants to hear your side. It could be political opinions, stuff like that. It's very unfortunate because at the end of the day, we're just civilians here, living amongst 360 million people in America. I don't even know the damn numbers, but we're we're a part of society, and I don't think we should be blind to that. And so it's hard not to want to contribute to society and like pay attention to what's going around you, because we still got to pay our taxes and pay our bills. And I don't want to just be over here living the high life, riding my dirt bikes. Ignorance is bliss to the world while I'm raising a family. So that's a very fine line and hard line to walk, because I do think there's times in our society where you have to speak up about things. Seemed to have bit me, 6 years ago in the COVID era and political justice times.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, I definitely was politically outspoken a little bit and used my platforms to
Sharing your opinions.
speak up what I think was necessary at those times, but some people didn't like to hear it, and I think that was part of losing some sponsors. And I think it's really unfortunate.
It's crazy.
But I don't regret it. You know what I mean? I'm still here, I'm still going, and I did learn some lessons though that I think you're only going to change so much, so it's a matter of choosing your battles wisely.
Yeah, I mean, there's some things that like you wish you could change, but almost have no power over. And it's like,
I mean, some people just can't handle the truth.
Yeah. Well, that just comes back to like we were talking about earlier, just like growing up with gentle parenting, and then you can't handle like someone disagreeing with you, or like the
entitlement.
Yeah, there's a lot of frustrating things, dude. I'm sure we're on the same page with a lot of that stuff, that we don't even have to open up the can of worms, but there's a lot of entitlement these days. There's a lot of people looking to be a victim or have their feelings hurt, or just
facts don't care about the feelings.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's no having conversation about facts. It's only emotion. And
look, I've had to learn, Ben, that I'm fortunate to have a following of people that it's all been a blessing and a bonus in life to have a platform. And there is a part of it that I have to respect. Like, yeah, I could be an ass and be like, it's my page, I can say and do what I want. But there's a lot of people that just follow what I'm doing because I was good on a dirt bike, and I have to accept that. There's a level of acceptance to that.
Probably most of them, honestly.
Yeah. So it's kind of like celebrities that chime in on politics and all that. I'm sitting there like, who are you to freaking, you live such a jaded life. Well, let's see. I'm closer to the celebrity side of life than I am. Yeah, I'm not loaded. I'm definitely financially not. I'm a minority and if you want to go across the scale of being broke to being a billionaire, I'm deprived, and I'm what's the word here I'm looking for? I'm roughing it.
Yeah.
Compared to billionaires. All right. You know what I mean?
You can always find someone that's got it.
So I'm closer to the average man than I am the upper class here. So I want to fight for that side, but I also can say I'm living such a privileged life that I created via dirt bikes and all that I feel sorry for billionaires that they don't get to live my life.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're in an office,
people that are chasing the dollar every day and that's how they measure success and their identity. No way. That's not how you measure success.
The rat race.
You measure success, from what I learned, was a Warren Buffett line, by being loved back by people that you love.
Right.
And
being loved by the people you love, being respected by the people you respect.
You can't put a price tag on that stuff.
Right.
And doing what you love. If I'm out here if I had a 9-to-5 job, I would still be riding my dirt bike every chance I got. So that says it all.
I think that's perfect, dude. I think that's a great message to end this on. I'm grateful to have had the chance to come out and see your property. Maybe we can, now that I'm living out here, it'd be fun to line up a ride day. One day when you have time, I'd bring the bike over. Maybe we could like shoot some content.
Bring it.
I've never hit a ramp, so I'd love to like learn, especially on yours, because it looks like a pretty safe landing. Yeah. I know I'm a good enough rider to do it. I've just never had the opportunity. So I
can get you within probably 20 to 30 feet of the sweet spot and not kill you.
Yeah, there you go. So, but yeah, thanks for the time, bro. It was
brother.
Cool to meet you.
You too.
We'll stay in touch.
Yeah, I'm glad we had the opportunity to chat, and thanks for everybody for listening and to me ramble.
Yeah. And then anything you want to say, like, is there anywhere people can follow what you're doing, or anything you're working on?
Oh yeah, my Instagram's my main channel that I push, and that's just Ronnie_Renner. I Just trying to kind of float along with that, not get too caught up in the YouTube world and all those things, man. It's a slippery slope of being on my phone too much. So that's the best place to find me. And, you can Google up anything these days. My name pops up on there. And I don't say that as a flex. I'm not trying to come after any women here or nothing like that, but just Google me.
Cool, man. Cheers.
Right on.
If you ride motorcycles long enough, you start to realize it's not about if something bad will happen, it's about when. And when it does, having the right people in your corner makes all the difference. That's why I've partnered with my friends at Rider Justice. They're not just a law firm, they're actually riders. They understand the risks we take every time we throw a leg over the bike, and they're here to support specifically the motorcycle community. From helping you understand insurance coverage to being by your side to help you through the process and provide you with resources if you ever happen to find yourself in an accident. But what I really respect is what they do beyond that. Educating riders to be more prepared, hosting crucial safety training, showing up to events, supporting the community, embedding themselves in the culture, and actively working to make the roads safer for all of us. You can learn more and find the resources that you might need at riderjustice.com.